Chapter 1820. Just let them be. Duan Lingtian glanced at the few mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan and said nonchalantly, "Why aren't you scramming?" Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words and seeing the few mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan still sitting there in a daze, Guli glared at them. After the few Zhao clan's disciples fled, Guli slowly walked into the courtyard and said with a displeased expression, "Originally, I came out of closed-door cultivation today to give my old man a surprise. I didn't expect him to not be here." "So, senior brother Guli, you came to share this surprise with me as soon as possible?" Duan Lingtian asked with a smile. Guli nodded. "Senior brother Guli, I'm afraid it won't take long for the news of you breaking through to the Divine Saint stage to spread throughout the mystical Sky Mansion. As far as I know, even the Mansion Master had yet to break through to the Divine Saint stage when he was your age." Duan Lingtian praised. "All right, stop praising me. It's fine if other people praise me, but I don't like it when you praise me." Guli hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Who dares to mention innate talent in front of a freak like you? Oh, right. I noticed the atmosphere in the mansion is a little strange. Do you know what's going on?" "The devouring dark devil technique has appeared," Duan Lingtian said solemnly. He had come out of closed-door cultivation half a month ago, so he had heard about the things that had happened recently. "Didn't the devouring dark devil technique appear a long time ago?" Guli asked, puzzled. 2 years ago, the mystical Sky Mansion had attacked the rising Sky Mansion for the devouring dark devil technique. Naturally, they did not know the Devil Dao cultivation method was the devouring dark devil technique. When they found out later, the key person, Su Jing, the young mansion master of Rising Sky Mansion, had already been brought away by the former palace master of Heaven Palace, Zhu Luqi. The remote area in the west has become a dead zone. Almost everyone in that area is dead, especially the young ladies. Especially those young women. They were all sucked dry. Duan Lingtian said in a solemn tone, "Now, the news has spread across half of the lower district. All the young women in the lower province, including our mystical Sky Mansion's young disciples, are in danger. Because the situation over there is similar to the situation where the devil cultivators who cultivated the devouring dark devil technique wreaked havoc, we can almost conclude that it was done by someone who also cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. Originally, Su Jing from the Rising Sky Mansion was the only one who cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. However, after Su Jing was rescued, there was more than one person who cultivated the devouring dark devil technique." Duan Lingtian said, "You mean, Palace Master Zhu has already begun to cultivate the devouring dark devil technique, and he was the one who did all the things that happened in this remote area in the west?" Guli gasped. He did not expect such a huge matter would happen while he was in closed-door cultivation. Su Jing's body might be in a coma now, but it's not difficult for his soul remnant that hasn't fully recovered to communicate with others. For this reason, it's very easy for him to pass the devouring dark devil technique to Palace Master Zhu. Duan Lingtian speculated, perhaps, Palace Master Zhu had negotiated with Su Jing and reached an agreement with him in exchange for the devouring dark devil technique in exchange for saving Su Jing. I can't believe a person can change so quickly. In the past, Palace Master Zhu's temper was quite good. However, now, Guli sighed. Sometimes, hatred can destroy a person. Duan Lingtian said solemnly as his eyes flashed. Zhu Luqi was the former palace master of mystical Sky Mansion's Heaven Palace. Although he was not familiar with him, he had interacted with him before. His first impression of him was that he was a kind elder. However, it was precisely this kind elder who had been humiliated by Feng Bu Yi, the deputy leader of Mountain Shade Black Market, that the seed of hatred had been planted in his heart. After the appearance of the devouring dark devil technique, this seed could no longer be suppressed and completely broke out of the ground. The seed of hatred had already sprouted. What Zhu Luqi had to do next was to desperately devour the vital blood and vital essence of the young woman to cultivate the devouring dark devil technique and raise his cultivation base at the fastest speed possible. Until he went to seek revenge from the deputy leader of Mountain Shade Black Market, Feng Bu Yi. However, it's true that deputy leader of Mountain Shade Black Market, Feng Bu Yi, has gone too far. If I were Palace Master Zhu, I wouldn't be able to stand being humiliated like that as well. Previously, when Zhu Luqi was humiliated by Fengbu Yi, Guli was present as well. Every time he thought about it, he could not help but feel indignant for Zhu Luqi. If you were Palace Master Zhu, senior brother Guli, and you knew you would never be able to seek revenge by cultivating the devouring dark devil technique normally, what would you do when faced with the temptation of cultivating the devouring dark devil technique? Duan Lingtian asked. Perhaps I would make the same choice as Palace Master Zhu. Guli sighed. To me, that kind of humiliation is even worse than killing me. Junior brother Lingtian, what if you were in my shoes? What would you do? If your innate talent is not that high, and you completely put yourself in Palace Master Zhu's shoes, if I were Palace Master Zhu, I would want nothing more than to turn Fengbu Yi into ashes as well. However, I don't think I would cultivate the devouring dark devil technique. After all, don't do to others what you don't want done to you. Those young women are innocent after all. Duan Lingtian sighed. If he was in his previous life on Earth, he would have made the same choice as Guli. However, in this life, he had experienced the fickleness of the world. He was unwilling to destroy those young women for a personal grudge. You'd rather not seek revenge than cultivate the devouring dark devil technique? Guli asked again. Of course not. Duan Lingtian's eyes gleamed coldly as a hint of loftiness appeared in his eyes. How can I not seek revenge after being humiliated so wantonly and trampled on my dignity? However, even if I can't seek revenge personally by cultivating normally, I'll still seek revenge through other methods. For example, I'll think of ways to get someone else to do it. Duan Lingtian replied. Get someone else to do it? Guli was stunned. How will you get someone else to do it? For example, I'll think of ways to kidnap the family of the leader of Mountain Shade Black Market or the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. I'll use their family as a hostage to force them to kill Fengbu Yi. Once Fengbu Yi dies, I'll release their family. Duan Lingtian said, if that's the case, I'll accept it even if I'm killed by them in the end. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Guli was filled with respect. At the same time, he could not help but sigh emotionally. If only Palace Master Zhu had heard your words before he rescued Su Jing. How wonderful would that be? Senior brother Guli, I'm just casually speaking. Just think about it, and you'll know how difficult it is to kidnap the family of the leader of Mountain Shade Black Market or the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said, for this reason, even if Palace Master Zhu heard my words, he might not be able to seek revenge through this method. Perhaps, he might not have been able to do it in the past. However, as far as I know, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion is a sentimental person. Not only that, but I've also heard that he brought many family members from his hometown back to the Azure Cloud Mansion a few years ago. Guli said, since he brought many family members back to the Azure Cloud Mansion, it's impossible for him to send powerhouses at the peak of the Divine Saint stage to protect all of them. With Palace Master Zhu's strength at the peak of the Saint stage, it won't be difficult for him to kidnap one of the family members of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. A few years ago, he brought many family members back to the Azure Cloud Mansion from his hometown. Upon hearing Guli's words, Duan Lingtian was stunned. Then, he asked again, Senior brother Guli, I heard that the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion is very young. It has only been less than 20 years since he rose to power in the WCI Subterranean, and he has already led the Azure Cloud Mansion to the peak of the lower province and is on par with the Mountain Shade Black Market? That's right. The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion is a legendary figure in the WCI Subterranean. He's also the person that I admire the most. Guli nodded. Perhaps, the leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market is not inferior to him in terms of innate talent and strength. However, the leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market has been fully nurtured by the Mountain Shade Black Market since he was young. On the other hand, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion is only from the mortal continent. For someone who came from the mortal continent to achieve such a result, he's already worthy of being a legend in the WCI Subterranean. When Guli reached the end of his sentence, he sighed emotionally. Mortal continent. Duan Lingtian was stunned. The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion is from the mortal continent? At this moment, Other information about the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion began to reverberate in Duan Lingtian's mind. It has only been less than 20 years since he rose to power in the Debussy subterranean. A few years ago, he brought many family members back from his hometown in the mortal continent, Dugu in the north and Rufeng in the south. The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion was the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Rufeng. Back then, little Fei was brought away by father's subordinate. To be able to bring little Fei away from the fifth-rate force, the Green Wave Han Mansion, father's subordinate must be quite powerful. Don't tell me. A shocking thought suddenly appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. Naturally, this was only his guess. He could not confirm it yet. Junior brother Ling Tian, what's wrong with you? When Gu Li saw Duan Lingtian's eyes widened and his body began to tremble, a puzzled expression appeared on his face. He did not know why his junior brother Ling Tian would suddenly become like this. He was still fine earlier. As senior brother Gu Li, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and tried his best to suppress his agitated emotions. He looked at Gu Li and asked solemnly, do you know the name of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Initially, Gu Li thought Duan Lingtian was going to talk about something serious since he was so serious. It did not cross his mind that he would ask such a question. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. What? Junior brother Ling Tian, you still don't know the name of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Senior brother Gu Li, please tell me. Duan Lingtian took another deep breath as his body began to tremble even more violently. At this moment, Gu Li also noticed that something was amiss with Duan Lingtian. Although he did not know the reason, he no longer joked around and directly replied, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion is Duan Rufeng. Perhaps you haven't heard of his name before, but I'm sure you've heard of the saying Dugu in the north, Rufeng in the south, standing at the top of the lower province. Chapter 1821. South like the wind. Like the wind. Duan Rufeng. I should have thought of this earlier. After obtaining Gu Li's confirmation, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath again. After a long while, he finally calmed down. As it turned out, his cheapskate father was the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. This is just too unbelievable. Although Duan Lingtian had already confirmed it, he still found it surreal. His cheapskate father was actually the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. What was the Azure Cloud Mansion? It was one of the top 2 forces in the Debussy subterranean. As a quasi-third-rate force, it was superior to most quasi-third-rate forces. It was comparable to the Mountainshade Black Market, the old overlord of the Debussy subterranean. It was said that the reason the Azure Cloud Mansion was comparable to the Mountainshade Black Market was all thanks to the current Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Rufeng. The current Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Rufeng, was his cheapskate father. If there were no other conditions, Duan Lingtian would not have connected the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion to his cheapskate father just by hearing his name was Duan Rufeng. After all, there were many people with the same name in this world. It was normal for coincidences to occur. However, the situation was different now. Apart from having the same name as his cheapskate father, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion had many similarities with his cheapskate father as well. Both of them were from the mortal continent. A few years ago, both of them had brought their families from the mortal continent to the Dao Martial Saint Land. They had risen in the Debussy subterranean for less than 20 years. If one of the similarities between the two names was a coincidence, then what about the second similarity and the third similarity? How could they be coincidences? Due to this reason, after learning about the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion and his name from Gu Li, Duan Lingtian was 100% certain Duan Rufeng, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, was his cheapskate father. As it turns out, father is the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. In that case, everything makes sense now. After confirming his cheapskate father was the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Lingtian recalled all the things related to his father in the past and felt enlightened. In this case, the message in the voice transmission jade slip that father left for me in the exquisite jade box was to ask me to look for his subordinates and ask them to bring me to the Azure Cloud Mansion. Duan Lingtian still remembered that it was precisely because the voice transmission jade slip was damaged that he missed the opportunity to reunite with his family. Due to this reason, he had come to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land alone, without anyone to rely on. He had to rely on himself. Back then, Duan Celestial Land Mansion Master, Azure Cloud Mansion of Azure Cloud Mansion. He couldn't help but smile bitterly when he recalled what Han Xuan had said to him. The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, one of the two powerhouses who stood at the peak of the WCI Subterranean. In the WCI Subterranean, apart from the Watcher sent by the first-rate forces in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, the most powerful people on the surface were undoubtedly Leader Dugu of the Mountain Shade Black Market and the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Ruffeng. If the voice transmission jade slip father left for me wasn't damaged, I would have gone to the Azure Cloud Mansion and become the young Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. At the same time, Duan Lingtian could not help but sigh at how God made fools of people. As it turned out, the cheapskate father he had been looking for ever since he arrived in the WCI Subterranean was the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. If he had known this earlier, he would not have taken so many detours. However, although this journey is arduous, it's not without rewards. At the very least, I managed to get to know Senior Brother Guli and Senior Brother Guli. If I had gone to the Azure Cloud Mansion earlier, I wouldn't have gotten to know them. When Duan Lingtian thought about this, he felt that although this journey was tiring, it was worth it. Also, if I had gone to the Azure Cloud Mansion earlier, I wouldn't have come to the Mystical Sky Mansion. If I didn't come to the Mystical Sky Mansion, I wouldn't have entered the Mystical Sky Mansion's St. Martial Secret Zone. Since I didn't enter the Mystical Sky Mansion's St. Martial Secret Zone, it's only natural that I wouldn't have obtained the divine ability, the Elementary Devouring Tactic. Duan Lingtian had obtained 2 high-grade divine abilities in the Mystical Sky Mansion's St. Martial Secret Zone. The otherworldly celestial was still acceptable since he might have obtained it in the Azure Cloud Mansion's St. Martial Secret Zone as well. However, the Elementary Devouring Tactic was one of a kind. It was almost impossible for him to obtain it even in the Azure Cloud Mansion's St. Martial Secret Zone. All in all, the damage to the voice transmission jade slip was both a loss and a gain for Duan Lingtian. What he lost was the opportunity to reunite with his family earlier. What he gained was his 2 senior brothers and the divine ability, the Elementary Devouring Tactic. However, if I had gone to the Azure Cloud Mansion earlier and became the young Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, I would have brought Kerr and little Fayer to the Azure Cloud Mansion. In that case, they wouldn't have to face the revenge of the 5-clawed golden dragon, Diju. Even if Kerr's twin sister came, she might not have been able to bring Kerr away with the protection of the Azure Cloud Mansion's powerhouses. When Duan Lingtian thought about this, he felt a little dejected again. Junior Brother Lingtian, what's wrong with you? When Guli saw the changes in Duan Lingtian's expression, he could not help but ask. I'm fine. Upon hearing Guli's voice, Duan Lingtian regained his senses and sighed in relief. He knew very well that the past could no longer be changed. It was useless for him to think about it now. Wasn't life supposed to be like this where there were gains and losses? Junior Brother Lingtian, you don't look like you're fine. After you heard the name of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, you seemed unusually agitated. Can you tell me why? Guli asked. After he finished asking, he added, Of course, if it's not convenient for you to tell me, just pretend I didn't ask. Senior Brother Guli, although we haven't known each other for long, it's important to be friends. I trust you, so there's nothing that's inconvenient for me to tell you. Duan Lingtian said, The reason I became agitated when I heard the name of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion is because his name is exactly the same as my father's name. Your father's name is exactly the same as the name of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Guli interrupted Duan Lingtian in shock. I didn't expect it to be so coincidental. However, although your father's name is the same as the name of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Junior Brother Lingtian, there's no need for you to be so agitated, right? When Guli reached the end of his sentence, he was slightly puzzled. He felt Duan Lingtian's reaction was a little too exaggerated. Same name? Upon hearing Guli's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but shake his head before he continued to say, My father and I are also from the mortal continent. What? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Guli's eyes widened immediately as a shocked expression appeared on his face. Junior Brother Lingtian, You're actually from the mortal continent as well? Are all the people from the mortal continent so monstrous? First, it's the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, and now, it's you. Also, your father. Since your innate talent is so high, your father must not be too weak as well. Based on Guli's words, up until now, he still did not connect Duan Lingtian's father to the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. He thought Duan Lingtian only said he and his father were from the mortal continent to emphasize his origin. Senior brother Guli, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, is my father. When Duan Lingtian saw how slow Guli's reaction was, he felt helpless as well. Boom. When Duan Lingtian's straightforward words entered Guli's ears, it was as though he had been struck by lightning. It caused Guli to be completely dumbstruck. Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, was junior brother Lingtian's father? How's this possible? When Guli finally regained his senses, he looked at Duan Lingtian and said in disbelief, "If you're the son of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, then you're the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Why would the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion come to our mystical sky mansion? Moreover, no. Your name is Lingtian, and the surname of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion is Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. You wouldn't be that fellow who obtained the Devil Seal tablet that was spread like wildfire back then, right? No. I've seen the portrait of the fella who obtained the Devil Seal tablet. You look different from that fella. Wait, no. You know the disguising secret tactic. That Li Feng who appeared in the Rising Sky Mansions district was you in disguise. You. Don't tell me you're really Duan Lingtian? When Guli reached the end of his sentence, he felt a little confused. That's right. I'm Duan Lingtian. I'm also the son of Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. When Duan Lingtian said this, the muscles on his face changed before his face returned to normal. It was a completely different and handsome face. It's really you. When Guli saw Duan Lingtian's real face, he could not help but widen his eyes in shock. The appearance of the person standing in front of him was exactly the same as the person in the portrait he had seen previously. The person in the portrait was none other than Duan Lingtian. He was the lucky fella who obtained the Super Saint weapon, the Devil Seal tablet. When the news of you obtaining the Devil Seal tablet spread out, you seemed to have vanished completely. I thought you were killed by someone. I didn't expect you to disguise yourself as Li Feng and cause so much trouble in the Rising Sky Mansions district before disguising yourself as Ling Tian and coming to our mystical sky mansion. Guli smiled wryly as he sighed emotionally. It did not cross his mind that his junior brother Ling Tian was the lucky fella who obtained the Devil Seal tablet. However, aren't you afraid I'll expose your true identity if you reveal your identity in front of me? You should know that once your identity is exposed, you won't be able to leave the mystical sky mansion alive. Guli's expression suddenly turned solemn. Will you? Duan Lingtian asked with a smile when he heard Guli's words. It was as though he was not worried at all. I won't. When Guli replied to Duan Lingtian, he smiled as well. Naturally, he was not the kind of person who would betray his friends. Put aside the fact that Duan Lingtian only had one Super Saint weapon. Even if he had 1,000 or 100 Super Saint weapons, he would not betray Duan Lingtian. However, junior brother Lingtian, are you really the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion? As the smile on Guli's face faded, he looked at Duan Lingtian solemnly and asked, Yes? Chapter 1822. Junior brother Lingtian, since you're the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, with your identity, why would you disguise yourself as Li Feng to participate in the Rising Sky ranking battle to save Sister Xuanai? With just a word from you, do you think the Rising Sky Mansion would dare to disobey you? After Guli learned that Duan Lingtian was really the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, he was puzzled. Duan Lingtian had told him about this before. In his opinion, with Duan Lingtian's identity, the Rising Sky Mansion would not dare to disobey him at all. Even the Rising Sky Mansion would not dare to disobey the young mansion master of a quasi-third-rate force, let alone a top quasi-third-rate force like the Azure Cloud Mansion. Moreover, since you're the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, why would you come to the mystical Sky Mansion? You'll be able to obtain better cultivation resources in the Azure Cloud Mansion. Ghoulie was puzzled. Senior brother Ghoulie, it's normal for you to have such questions. However, you have to know that before today, I didn't even know the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion is my father. Naturally, I didn't know I'm the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion as well. Under such circumstances, it's only natural that I have to do everything by myself. Duan Lingtian sighed. How's that possible? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Ghoulie was shocked. However, when he recalled Duan Lingtian's reaction when he asked for the name of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, he felt that Duan Lingtian must be telling the truth. Junior brother Lingtian, didn't your father tell you he's the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion? A few years ago, he went to the mortal continent to bring many of his family members back to the Azure Cloud Mansion. Why didn't he bring you back with him? Ghoulie was puzzled. The reason my father left me in the mortal continent was to train me. However, he still left me a clue so I could go to the Dao Marshal Saint Land to look for him when I'm strong enough to stand at the peak of the mortal continent. Unfortunately, due to my own problems, some unforeseen events occurred with the clues he left for me. Duan Lingtian sighed in his heart when he thought of the damaged voice transmission jade slip in the exquisite jade box. Destiny was making fools of people. Following Duan Lingtian's explanation, Ghoulie came to a realization. So that's how it is. But luckily, there was an unforeseen event. If junior brother Lingtian had gone to the Azure Cloud Mansion as soon as you arrived in the Dao Marshal Saint Land, we might not have gotten to know each other.
Yes.
Duan Lingtian nodded and sighed in his heart. Junior brother Lingtian, since you've already confirmed that Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, is your father, do you have any plans to look for him? Ghoulie asked. Of course. Duan Lingtian nodded without any hesitation. Before I went to the upper province of the Dao Marshal Saint Land, my biggest wish was to reunite with my family. Now that I've received news about my family, it's only natural that I want to look for them. After Duan Lingtian found out his father was the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, he wished he could grow a pair of wings so he could fly to the Azure Cloud Mansion as fast as he could. Not only were his parents there, but his fiancée and his child were there as well. Based on the time, my child with little Fei should be a few years old now, right? When Duan Lingtian thought of Li Fei and his child with Li Fei, his eyes were filled with tenderness. When Ghoulie saw Duan Lingtian standing there with a silly smile on his face, he knew Duan Lingtian must have thought of his family whom he had not seen for a long time. He was sensible and did not disturb him. It was as though it would be a crime to disturb him at this moment. Just as Duan Lingtian had said, not long after the mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan left, the news of Ghoulie breaking through to the Divine Saint stage spread through the entire mystical Sky Mansion. It caused an uproar in the mystical Sky Mansion. The atmosphere that was originally oppressive due to the appearance of the devouring dark devil technique had also lifted. Senior brother Ghoulie has actually broken through to the Divine Saint stage? As expected of Lord Guardian's son. Like father, like son. Even Lord Mansion Master wasn't as young as Ghoulie when he broke through to the Divine Saint stage, right? If senior brother Ghoulie becomes the next Mansion Master of our mystical Sky Mansion, our mystical Sky Mansion will definitely have a chance to become as powerful as the Azure Cloud Mansion and the Mountain Shade Black Market. Unfortunately, he once said he'll go to the upper province of the Dao Marshal Saint Land once he has broken through to the Divine Saint stage. First, it's Lingtian, then it's Ghoulie. Both of them have the potential to lead the mystical Sky Mansion to greater heights. Unfortunately, both of them have set their sights on the upper province of the Dao Marshal Saint Land. When the news of Ghoulie breaking through to the Divine Saint stage spread, the group of mystical Sky Mansion's elders and disciples were shocked. However, they also felt that it was a pity. This was because they knew Ghoulie would not be able to stay in the mystical Sky Mansion for long now that he had broken through to the Divine Saint stage. Ghoulie has broken through? In the mystical Sky Mansion's main mansion, Vice Mansion Master Zhao Deng had also received the news. At the same time, his expression turned grave when he heard people saying he was not as good as Ghoulie. He and Ghoulie were the sons of the two great guardians of the mystical Sky Mansion. However, when he was Ghoulie's age, he was only a mastery eminent saint stage martial cultivator. Comparisons were the worst. His innate talent was already quite good, but compared to Guli, it was not even worth mentioning in the eyes of others. Most importantly, both of them had a guardian for a father. All in all, he had embarrassed his father this time. Father. While Zhao Deng was feeling humiliated by the rumors, a familiar voice resonated in the air, causing his expression to change drastically. His face that seemed to be shrouded by dark clouds earlier seemed to be illuminated by the sun in just a blink of an eye. This was because he recognized the owner of the voice. It was none other than his son, whom he had not heard from for 2 years. After the death duel between Ling Tian and Zhao Kuan in the Heaven Palace's Hall of Death, he had never seen his son again. However, since his son's soul pearl was still intact, he was not worried at all. Humph, where have you been for the past 2 years? I thought you've forgotten that you have a father like me. Zhao Deng snorted coldly as he purposely pulled a long face when Zhao Ji entered the room. Zhao Deng looked solemn, but if one looked closely, one could see a hint of surprise in the depths of his eyes. He was surprised that his son had returned. Father, I only left the mystical sky mansion because I saw how strong Duan Ling Tian was at that time. I felt a little depressed and went out to take a look. After taking a look around, I've gained quite a lot. Zhao Ji smiled. Gained quite a lot? Humph. Did you get to know a bunch of bad friends again? Zhao Deng continued to sneer with a long face. Father, I didn't make any friends this time. However, I discovered a relic in the east that's suspected to be left behind by a powerhouse who had surpassed the quintessential saint stage. At the end of his sentence, Zhao Ji's face was filled with excitement. A relic left behind by a powerhouse who had surpassed the quintessential saint stage? Upon hearing Zhao Ji's words, Zhao Deng could no longer maintain his solemn expression. He asked in shock, "Are you sure it's a relic left behind by a powerhouse who had surpassed the quintessential saint stage?" Yes. Zhao Ji nodded and told him the story he had prepared. According to the message left behind by the powerhouse who left behind the divine ability relic, he was a powerhouse who had surpassed the quintessential saint stage. Moreover, the Dao Martial Saint Land was not divided into the upper province and lower province during that era. Zhao Deng's breathing quickened when he heard Zhao Ji's words. The era when the Dao Martial Saint Land was not divided into the upper province and lower province was the primordial era. The relic left behind by the powerhouse of that era was called an ancient relic. In the history of the WCI Subterranean, there were many legends about the ancient relic. Those who managed to obtain the ancient relic eventually became a top powerhouse in the WCI Subterranean. Even after they arrived in the upper province, they still managed to carve out a place for themselves with their strength. Currently, he found out his son had come across an ancient relic. Usually, there's a powerhouse's inheritance in an ancient relic. Is there any inheritance in the ancient relic you came across? Zhao Deng asked in a hurry. Yes. As soon as Zhao Deng finished speaking, Zhao Ji nodded. I've already obtained the inheritance in the ancient relic. Zhao Deng's eyes lit up. His son had obtained the inheritance in the ancient relic? For a moment, Zhao Deng's breathing quickened. At the same time, Zhao Ji sighed and continued to say, "Unfortunately, the ancient relic collapsed after I obtained the inheritance. Initially, I wanted father and grandfather to go in and see if they could obtain the inheritance as well. However, it seems like there's no chance for us to do so now." Silly boy. Zhao Deng was, naturally, happy when he heard Zhao Ji's filial words. The inheritance in the ancient relic is usually passed down to only one person. That's how precious it is. Grandfather and I are happy for you since you managed to obtain the inheritance. What kind of inheritance did you obtain? Zhao Deng asked again. It's a devil cultivator's inheritance. To be more precise, it's a devil beast's inheritance, Zhao Ji replied. Zhao Ji nodded. Devil beast. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, apart from humans, saint beasts could also cultivate the devil Dao. Human devil cultivators were called human devils. Saint beast devil cultivators were called devil beasts. Devil beast's inheritance? Zhao Deng's eyes lit up again. The devil cultivator's inheritance is usually one of the better inheritances in the ancient relic. Did anything change after you obtained the inheritance? Almost as soon as Zhao Deng finished speaking, a majestic, vast, An eerie aura suddenly surged out from Zhao Ji's body, causing the surrounding temperature to drop a little. Divine Saint Stage? Zhao Ding, who sensed this aura, was so frightened that his eyes opened wide. He revealed an expression of shock and disbelief. Although he knew the ancient devil beast's inheritance was not simple, he did not expect it to be so exaggerated. It allowed an intermediate refined saint stage martial cultivator, who was only at the intermediate refined saint stage, to break through to the divine saint stage in less than 2 years. However, it did not cross Zhao Ding's mind that his son was lying to him. The so-called ancient devil beast's inheritance was fake. Chapter 1823. After leaving the secluded place in the west of the Debussy subterranean, Zhao Ji had already come up with an excuse for his current cultivation base while he was on his way back to the mystical sky mansion. The ancient devil beast's inheritance. This way, it would be logical for him to cultivate as a devil cultivator and would not be suspected. Nobody would have thought it was because he had cultivated the devouring dark devil technique that he was able to make a breakthrough from the intermediate refined saint stage to the early divine saint stage in less than 2 years. When did you obtain the ancient devil beast's inheritance? Zhao Deng's expression turned solemn. It was not that he had not heard of ancient legacies before. In the history of the mystical sky mansion, there were also some records about ancient legacies and the transformation of those who had obtained the ancient legacies. However, none of them were as exaggerated as his son. In less than 2 years, he had broken through from the intermediate refined saint stage to the early divine saint stage. This cultivation speed was heaven-defying. A month after I left the mystical sky mansion, I came across an ancient ruin. Father, do you think my cultivation base has risen too quickly? Zhao Ji asked as he reached the end of his explanation.
Yes.
Zhao Deng nodded. Your cultivation speed is comparable to devil cultivators who have cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. The devouring dark devil technique. Upon hearing Zhao Deng's words, Zhao Ji felt slightly uneasy. However, he did not show it. Although the person in front of him was his father, he did not dare to tell him that he had cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. This was because he knew his father would force him to disperse his cultivation if he found out that he had cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. Not to mention in the lower province, even in the upper province, those who cultivated the devouring dark devil technique were like rats crossing the street. Everyone wanted to beat them up. As the only son of the Zhao clan, whether it was his father or his grandfather, they would not allow him to take such a risk. For some reason, Zhao Deng's expression turned solemn as he stared at Zhao Ji. Zhao Ji's heart jolted when he saw the sudden change in Zhao Deng's expression. Don't tell me, father suspects, I've cultivated the devouring dark devil technique and not the ancient devil beast's inheritance? After all, he had a guilty conscience. It was no wonder that Zhao Ji would think that way. However, Zhao Ji heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Zhao Deng's words. As it turned out, his father did not suspect him of cultivating the devouring dark devil technique. Tell me the truth. Since the inheritance that the ancient devil beast left for you improved your cultivation base so quickly, it must have taken a shortcut as well. Don't tell me it's a heartless cultivation method like the devouring dark devil technique? These were Zhao Deng's exact words. If so, father hopes that you can disperse the demonic technique that the demonic beast passed down to you. Father only has one son. You are our Zhao family's only heir. You cannot take the risk. When Zhao Ji heard Zhao Deng's words, he secretly rejoiced that he did not reveal the truth. Father, don't worry. Although the cultivation method that the ancient devil beast passed down to me is a little bloody, it's not targeted at humans. It's targeted at savage beasts. The more savage beasts I kill, the more hearts I obtain, and the faster my cultivation speed will be. That's good. Upon hearing this, Zhao Deng sighed in relief as though a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Father, where's grandfather? Zhao Ji wanted to look for his grandfather, Zhao Jin, but he discovered Zhao Jin was not around. Your grandfather and guardian Gu left the mystical sky mansion and went to the west to look for Zhu Luqi, Zhao Deng replied.
Father.
Palace Master Zhu? Why are they looking for him? Zhao Ji pretended to be surprised and asked. Zhu Luqi must have obtained the devouring dark devil technique that Su Jing cultivated, and he has already begun to cultivate it. In the past 2 years, many people have died in the West. Those young women had their vital energy and blood devoured and turned into dried corpses, Zhao Deng said. Currently, Zhu Luqi has become the public enemy in the lower province. All the quasi-third-rate forces, including our mystical sky mansion, have sent out powerhouses to search for him. Everyone is worried that if he continues to cultivate, he'll become like the devil cultivator who cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. When Zhao Deng reached the end of his sentence, his expression was extremely solemn. However, if Zhu Luqi intends to hide, your grandfather and the others might not be able to find him. Palace Master Zhu has cultivated the devouring dark devil technique? Zhao Ji was shocked. It seems like he really doesn't care about anything in order to seek revenge. I wonder if Fengbu Yi, the deputy leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market, will be able to survive after being killed by him. If Zhu Luqi knows how to conceal himself and doesn't show himself before he raises his cultivation base, it'll be easier for him to kill Fengbu Yi in a few years, Zhao Deng said confidently. After all, he's cultivating the devouring dark devil technique. Based on Zhao Deng's words, it was obvious he held the devouring dark devil technique in high regard. Of course, while he was praising the devouring dark devil technique, his eyes were filled with fear. A few days later, a piece of news entered the ears of Zhao Deng and his son. Ling Tian is leaving the mystical sky mansion on his own? Father, is this news true? Zhao Ji asked excitedly as he looked at Zhao Deng. Yes. Zhao Deng nodded. Although I don't know where he's going, it's true that he's leaving. It's said that when he was chatting with Wang Feixian, a disciple from our Zhao clan overheard it. Haha, good. Zhao Ji's eyes lit up when he learned that Duan Lingtian was leaving the mystical sky mansion on his own. He was extremely excited. In the past, he was not a match for Duan Lingtian and could only resign himself to it. However, he was no longer the same as before. His cultivation base was at the Divine Saint stage, and his strength was not inferior to Guli, who was once the strongest person on the mystical sky ranking. In his opinion, with his current strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill Ling Tian. However, that brat from the Gu clan has been contacting the vice mansion masters who have a close relationship with his father and some elders. He's trying to monitor all the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above in our Zhao clan to prevent them from leaving the mystical sky mansion, Zhao Deng said in a deep voice. I really didn't expect that Ling Tian would be able to make Guli put in so much effort and use all of his father's connections. He's trying to stop all the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above in our Zhao clan from attacking Ling Tian after he leaves the mystical sky mansion. Monitoring all the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above in our Zhao clan? Zhao Ji narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard Zhao Deng's words. Father, does that include you? Yes. Zhao Deng nodded. His expression was grave as he said, his actions have undoubtedly conveyed a message. After 2 years, Ling Tian's strength has improved a lot. He's most likely not afraid of powerhouses below the Divine Saint stage. Unfortunately, your grandfather isn't here. Otherwise, Old Man Gu's connections wouldn't be able to stop him from mobilizing powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above. Currently, with Gu Li's actions, the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above in our Zhao clan won't even be able to leave the mystical sky mansion, let alone attack Ling Tian. When Zhao Deng reached the end of his sentence, his expression turned even more grave. It was so grave that it seemed as though it could drip water at any moment. Father, up until now, I've only revealed the news of me breaking through to the Divine Saint stage to you. You didn't tell anyone else, right? Zhao Ji asked as his eyes flashed fiercely. No, I didn't. Zhao Deng instinctively shook his head in response. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his gloomy face. Ji, how could I have forgotten about you? You're currently at the early Divine Saint stage. Won't it be easy for you to kill Ling Tian? Father, you finally remembered me. Zhao Ji smiled. Haha, that Gu Li. I'm afraid even in his dreams that there would be such a variable like you. The powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above in our Zhao clan that he has his eyes on aren't all of the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above when your grandfather isn't here. The smile on Zhao Deng's face turned even more radiant. Perhaps, in Gu Li's eyes, I'm still that insignificant refined Saint stage martial cultivator from 2 years ago, right? Zhao Ji said with a mocking smile. Isn't it better this way? Not only can we hide from him, but we can also catch him off guard. Jier, I'll leave Ling Tian to you this time. Haven't you always wanted to kill him to avenge yourself? Zhao Ji asked. Don't worry, father. This time, Ling Tian will definitely die. Zhao Ji said coldly as his eyes flashed coldly. I believe in you. I'll wait for your good news. Zhao Ji nodded. A few days went by. In the sky outside the mystical Sky Mansion's estate, 3 figures stood on 2 sides. On one side was a handsome young man. On the other side, there was a muscular young man and a young woman with peerless beauty. The former was Duan Lingtian. The latter was Gu Li and Wang Fei Xian. Are you really going to leave on your own? Wang Fei Xian said with a worried expression on her face. The people from the Zhao clan are not easy to deal with. I'm afraid they'll chase after you and make a move on you as soon as you leave. It's not convenient for them to make a move on you in the mystical Sky Mansion, but they won't have any qualms outside. Don't worry. Senior brother Gu Li has already made the arrangements. Duan Lingtian said with a smile. Junior brother Ling Tian, you have to be careful. During the 3 days you're gone, those who are at the Divine Saint stage or above from the Zhao clan won't be able to leave the mystical Sky Mansion at all. Gu Li said confidently. Originally, he planned to leave with Duan Lingtian and head to the Azure Cloud Mansion before heading to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land together. However, Duan Lingtian rejected him. According to Duan Lingtian, even if Gu Li wanted to leave, he should inform his father, Gu Xiayun, first. Moreover, he would stay in the Azure Cloud Mansion for a while before heading to the upper province. Chapter 1824. Those at the Divine Saint stage and above from the Zhao clan won't be able to leave the mystical Sky Mansion? Wang Fei Xian did not doubt Gu Li's words at all. No matter what, Gu Li was the son of Guardian Gu Xiayun. He could get many powerhouses to help him stop those at the Divine Saint stage and above from the Zhao clan. However, to her surprise, Gu Li only stopped those at the Divine Saint stage and above from the Zhao clan from leaving the mystical Sky Mansion. Gu Li's actions undoubtedly conveyed another message. Ling Tian was not afraid of those below the Divine Saint stage. Why UVE broken through to the peak of the refined Saint stage? Wang Fei Xian asked in surprise as she looked at Duan Lingtian. Wang Fei Xian asked this because she already knew Duan Lingtian's true origin was extraordinary. Duan Lingtian, who was at the peak of the refined Saint stage, was able to cast true origin that was comparable to a powerhouse at the peak of the eminent Saint stage. His strength was not inferior to a powerhouse at the peak of the eminent Saint stage. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. So fast. Wang Fei Xian was deeply affected. 2 years ago, Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was the same as hers. They were both at the intermediate refined Saint stage. Currently, Duan Lingtian had already broken through to the peak of the refined Saint stage, but she was only at the threshold of the mastery refined Saint stage. Her cultivation base was still at the intermediate refined Saint stage. Comparing oneself to others would only make one angry. This was how Wang Fei Xian felt at this moment. Fast. Upon hearing Wang Fei Xian's words, Duan Lingtian was noncommittal. Although only 2 years had passed in the outside world, 7 to 8 years had passed in the 3rd level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Using 7 to 8 years to break through to the peak of the refined Saint stage from the intermediate refined Saint stage was considered slow in Duan Lingtian's opinion. Naturally, it did not mean that his innate talent was not good enough. If he had cultivated at a normal speed, he would have already broken through to the early imminent Saint stage. The reason he hadn't broken through was because Hua Lao had stopped him in time when he was about to break through. According to Hua Lao's words, he didn't need to rush to break through to the great sage realm. When he was at the peak of the refined Saint stage, he could absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy and convert it into true origin before fusing it with the golden crow's wings hidden in his body to further temper them. After tempering for a period of time, the golden crow's wings would undergo a transformation and become the second form. When he broke through to the great saint realm in the future, the second form of the golden crow wings would be much faster than the first form. The best time to transform the golden crow's wings from the first form to the second form was at the peak of the great saint stage. This was because the true origin of the peak of the great saint stage would not burden the first form of the golden crow's wings. If it was at the divine saint stage, it would be much more difficult to transform the first form of the golden crow's wings. On top of that, it would be extremely risky. This was because the divine saint stage's energy would burden the first form of the golden crow's wings. It would only be a waste of effort when tempering it. Naturally, Duan Lingtian believed Hua Lao's words without a doubt. For this reason, when he reached the critical point between the peak of the refined saint stage and the early eminent saint stage, he decisively stopped and did not complete the final breakthrough. At this time, the sun's true origin in his body was comparable to the true origin at the peak of the eminent saint stage. It could perfectly temper the golden crow's wings and transform it into the second form. To put it simply, the reason Duan Lingtian did not rush to break through to the eminent saint stage was because he wanted to temper the golden crow's wings and lay a good foundation for it. According to Hua Lao, if I temper the golden crow's wings to the second form, I'll break through to the early eminent saint stage. At that time, my speed will be comparable to a mastery divine saint stage powerhouse when I cast the golden crow's wings. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he could not help but feel excited. In fact, when he had broken through to the early eminent saint stage, his sun's true origin was only comparable to an early divine saint stage powerhouse. If he did not rely on external forces, his strength would only be comparable to an early divine saint stage powerhouse. However, once he cast the second form of the golden crow's wings, his speed would be comparable to a mastery divine saint stage powerhouse. This meant that at that time, even an intermediate divine saint stage powerhouse would not be able to stop him. The tempering of the golden crow's wings has already reached the final stage. It won't take long before it transforms to the second form. At that time, I won't have to suppress my cultivation base anymore, and I'll be able to break through to the eminent saint stage. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he felt excited again. The golden crow's wings was a divine ability that Hua Lao had directly passed down to him. He did not even need to spend any effort to comprehend and cultivate it. This was because Hua Lao had already planted the golden crow's wings in his body. All he needed to do was to transform the golden crow's wings into different forms. Naturally, strictly speaking, this was also considered as cultivation. However, it was different from the cultivation method of ordinary divine abilities. Duan Lingtian was filled with anticipation toward the golden crow's wings. Are you really confident about defeating those below the divine saint stage? Wang Fei Xian was still worried. Of course, Duan Lingtian was filled with confidence. Currently, the sun's true origin in his body was no weaker than the true origin of a powerhouse at the peak of the eminent saint stage. Coupled with his powerful body and many other trump cards, he was not afraid of anyone below the divine saint stage. Naturally, if he used the celestial supreme treasure, the Jasper celestial sword, he might even be able to kill an ordinary divine saint stage powerhouse. Duan Lingtian left under the watchful eyes of Gu Li and Wang Fei Xian. Both of them only shifted their gazes away when Duan Lingtian's silhouette disappeared from their sight. Senior brother Gu Li, do you know where he's going to look for his family? Wang Fei Xian asked as she looked at Gu Li. She only knew Duan Lingtian was going to reunite with his family. She knew nothing else. Not only did she not know Lingtian's real name was Duan Lingtian, but she also did not know Duan Lingtian's family was in the Azure Cloud Mansion. She did not know Duan Lingtian's father was the current mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Rufeng. I'm not too sure as well. Gu Li shook his head. Before obtaining permission from his junior brother, Lingtian, he would not reveal any information about his junior brother, Lingtian, including his true identity and background. After the two of them parted ways, Gu Li returned to the main mansion while Wang Fei Xian returned to the Heaven Palace. When the two of them returned, the mystical Sky Mansion's elders and disciples from the Zhao clan were eager to make a move. However, the elders from the Zhao clan who were at the Divine Saint stage or above discovered they could not leave the mystical Sky Mansion's estate at all since they were being watched and blocked by someone. Kongxiu, why are you blocking my way? One of the mystical Sky Mansion's elders from the Zhao clan glared at another mystical Sky Mansion's elder and shouted, Zhao Wei, I've been asked by someone not to let you leave the mystical Sky Mansion for the next 3 days. If you insist on leaving, you'll have to defeat me first. Kongxiu said nonchalantly when faced with Zhao Wei's question. Although Kongxiu was not a disciple of the Gu clan, he had received the favor of guardian Gu Xiaiyun when he was young. He had always been grateful to Gu Xiaiyun. For this reason, he was duty-bound to fulfill the request of Gu Li, Gu Xiaiyun's son. Zhao Wei's expression was extremely grave. He knew he was not a match for Kongxiu. Meanwhile, similar scenes were playing out everywhere in the mystical Sky Mansion's estate. The powerhouses who were watching the elders from the Zhao clan who were at the Divine Saint stage or above were slightly stronger than the person they were watching. They had completely suppressed the other party. Vice Mansion Master Zhao. Even Vice Mansion Master Zhao Deng was stopped by a person when he tried to leave. The person who stopped him was the Palace Master of Yellow Palace, Qian Ping Sheng. Palace Master Qian, that Gu Li managed to get you to help him? Zhao Deng's expression turned grave when he saw the person who stopped him was Qian Ping Sheng. A hint of disbelief could be seen in his eyes. This was because he did not expect the person who would stop him from leaving the mystical Sky Mansion's estate would be Qian Ping Sheng, the Palace Master of Yellow Palace. In fact, in the mystical Sky Mansion, the Palace Masters of the 4 palaces were in charge of their own affairs. They did not belong to the Zhao clan or the Gu clan. I owe Guardian Gu a favor. Qian Ping Sheng's reply was simple. Vice Mansion Master Zhao, I don't want to fight with you. 3 days later, no matter where you want to go, I won't stop you. Humph. Zhao Deng snorted and decisively returned to his residence. He knew very well that with Qian Ping Sheng stopping him, it was impossible for him to leave the mystical Sky Mansion's estate. Gu Li, I'm afraid you didn't expect that my son has already broken through to the early Divine Saint stage. A mocking smile appeared on Zhao Deng's face when he returned to his residence. He mocked Gu Li for being too naive. Did he think he would be fine just because he stopped the Divine Saint stage powerhouses from the Zhao clan? Who knew the Zhao clan still had a trump card up their sleeves? At this time, should have left the mystical Sky Mansion to chase after Ling Tian, right? The moment Zhao Deng thought of this, his eyes flashed coldly. Ling Tian, your good days are over. Just as Zhao Deng had expected, Gu Li would not expect Zhao Ji, who was only at the intermediate refined saint stage 2 years ago, to have broken through to the divine saint stage in less than 2 years. If he knew about this, he would have personally watched Zhao Ji. It was precisely because nobody knew Zhao Ji was already a divine saint stage powerhouse that he was able to leave the mystical Sky Mansion without any obstructions. In front of Zhao Ji, many mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan who were ranked on the mystical Sky ranking had already set off to chase after Duan Lingtian. These people were all confident in their own strength. Moreover, they were all at the intermediate eminent saint stage or above. 2 years ago, outside the Heaven Palace's Hall of Death, Duan Lingtian had killed Zhao Kuan with his strength at the intermediate eminent saint stage. This caused those mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan whose strength was not at the intermediate eminent saint stage to give up on the idea of making a move against him. What a joke. An intermediate eminent saint stage powerhouse was not someone they could fight against. Among the group of mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan who were chasing after Duan Lingtian, Zhao Dong, who was ranked 5th on the mystical Sky ranking, was among them. Zhao Dong was the mystical Sky Mansion's disciple from the Zhao clan whom Gu Li had taught a lesson to when Gu Li came to look for Duan Lingtian a few days ago. Chapter 1825. Lingtian. Zhao Dong took the lead and was the first to catch up to Duan Lingtian. He blocked Duan Lingtian's path. As soon as Duan Lingtian left the mystical Sky Mansion, he noticed a long tail following behind him. If he used his true speed and traveled at full speed, these tails would not be able to catch up to him. However, Duan Lingtian did not plan to do that. He knew very well what the purpose of the group of people behind him was. They wanted to kill him. Since that was the case, he would grant them their wish and give them a chance. Due to this reason, he intentionally slowed down after leaving the mystical sky mansion. The powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage or above from the Zhao clan were restricted by the people Guli. Due to this reason, he was not worried about encountering any troublesome people. I recognize you. You're Xiaodong, ranked 5th on the mystical sky ranking. However, didn't you feel good after being thrown to the ground previously? Haven't you learned your lesson? Duan Lingtian recognized Xiaodong immediately when he was blocked by him. A few days ago, at the entrance of his courtyard, Guli had easily defeated the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan who were monitoring him. Xiaodong was one of them as well. In the end, it was only because he did not pursue the matter that Guli did not make any further moves. Duan Lingtian did not expect Xiaodong would come and stop him again in just a few days. It was obvious he did not take what had happened that day to heart. He did not learn his lesson. Lingtian, what are you so smug about? Guli isn't by your side today. Faced with Duan Lingtian's mocking smile, Xiaodong recalled how he was humiliated by Guli a few days ago. He was instantly enraged. What? Do you think you can do whatever you want just because senior brother Guli isn't by my side? The mocking smile on Duan Lingtian's face did not disappear. Instead, it became even more intense. His eyes were filled with disdain. You are courting death. Zhao Dong couldn't restrain himself any longer when faced with Duan Lingtian's disdain, and he shouted angrily before his figure flashed out like a bolt of lightning. He was like a cannonball that left the barrel as he swiftly blasted towards Duan Lingtian. Boom, boom, boom. Zhao Dong's speed was as fast as the wind and thunder. Wherever he passed, the sound of air exploding rang out one after another. Circles of ripples also appeared in the void and spread outwards. The ripples spread out, setting off waves of rolling airwaves. The airwaves spread out and transformed into a gust of wind that blew against the robes of the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan who had just arrived. Go! I can't let Zhao Dong beat me to it. Kill Lingtian. As long as I kill him, I can become the adopted son of Lord Protector and become an existence on equal footing with the Vice Palace Master. Kill! When the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan who had just arrived saw Zhao Dong attacking Duan Lingtian without any warning, horror dawned on them. In the next instant, amidst a series of sharp cries, they also charged forward like a swarm of bees. It was as though they were afraid they would not even be able to drink the soup if they were too slow. Naturally, there were also some mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan who were slower to react and followed behind. These people, without exception, were all weaker existences at the intermediate eminent saint stage. Before they could catch up with the others, they came to a halt again. All of them stared at the scene in front of them with their mouths agape. It was as though their bodies were filled with lead, and they could no longer move at all. What a bunch of mobs! Duan Lingtian, who was standing nearby, spat out indifferently. The moment his words left his mouth, a dazzling true origin surged out of his body. The true origin was as dazzling as the sun. In just a blink of an eye, it transformed into hundreds of golden sword rays that swept out in all directions, attacking indiscriminately. Apart from Zhao Dong, who managed to dodge the attack in a wretched manner, the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples who were at the mastery eminent saint stage from the Zhao clan could not dodge the attack at all. All of them were pierced by the golden sword ray that was as bright as the sun and turned into a beehive. He has also broken through to the peak of the eminent saint stage. Although Zhao Dong managed to dodge Duan Lingtian's attack, he still felt a lingering fear in his heart. At the same time, horror dawned on his face. As a martial cultivator at the peak of the eminent sage stage, although he had just broken through a few days ago, he could still clearly sense that Lingtian's true origin was of the same level as his true origin. They were both at the peak of the eminent sage stage. Although both of them had true origins at the peak of the eminent saint stage, the speed and control of Lingtian's true origin was not something he could compare to. Apart from that, the hundreds of sword rays that shot out from Lingtian's body seemed chaotic, but in truth, they were all brilliant sword techniques. At the very least, the martial techniques he mastered were not as brilliant as this. At this moment, Zhao Dong also realized that although he was also a martial cultivator at the peak of the eminent saint stage like Lingtian, he was far from being a match for Ling Tian. With Ling Tian's strength, he could be considered one of the best among all the powerhouses at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage in the WCI subterranean. In the distance, the mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan, who did not make it in time, were so frightened that their faces turned pale. At this moment, they felt a little relieved. Fortunately, they had not broken through to the Mastery Eminent Saint stage yet. Otherwise, they would have suffered the same fate as the group of people who were pierced like a hornet's nest. Boom, boom, boom. As the corpses of the group of Mastery Eminent Saint stage mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan fell to the ground, the remaining mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan regained their senses one after another. When they looked at Duan Lingtian again, a hint of fear could be seen in their eyes. It was the same even for Zhao Dong. At this moment, Zhao Dong no longer had the arrogance he had before. His eyes were filled with fear and uneasiness when he looked at Duan Lingtian. Although he was also a martial cultivator at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage, the strength Duan Lingtian displayed made him lose all will to fight. This was because he was no match for Duan Lingtian's strength at all. Even if he was also a martial cultivator at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage. Martial cultivators at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage were also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. If Duan Lingtian was at the 3rd grade, then he was at the 9th grade. He could not be compared to him at all. Zhao Dong, didn't you say I was seeking death? Why aren't you moving? After a long while, Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhao Dong indifferently and took the initiative to break the silence. Hearing this, Zhao Dong was reminded of his previous arrogance, and his face immediately turned red. He felt that his previous actions were so laughable, to actually think that Ling Tian was an existence that he could trample on. When Duan Lingtian saw Zhao Dong had no reaction, his eyes gleamed coldly as killing intent surged out of his eyes. When Zhao Dong saw the killing intent that flashed in Duan Lingtian's eyes, horror dawned on his face as he said in a panic, "Ling Tian, I was blind to not recognize you. Just treat me like a fart and let me go. I promise I won't make an enemy out of you in the future. I promise. Really, I promise." When Zhao Dong reached the end of his sentence, he saw the killing intent in Duan Lingtian's eyes did not seem to be going away. He lowered his body and actually knelt in the air as he begged for mercy in a panic. "Ling Tian, please let me go this time. I beg you. I beg you." Many mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan looked at Zhao Dong with disdain when they saw how cowardly he was. Naturally, there were also a small number of people who understood Zhao Dong's actions. They felt it was understandable for him to do this in order to survive. Humph. Faced with Zhao Dong, who seemed like a completely different person, Duan Lingtian's eyes were filled with hatred. With a raise of his hand, a dazzling golden sword ray shot out like a blazing sun as it swept toward Zhao Dong. Although Zhao Dong was kneeling on the ground, he remained vigilant. As soon as Duan Lingtian made his move, he noticed it and made his move in time to block it. However, Zhao Dong, who had just broken through to the peak of the Eminent Saint stage a few days ago, could not even control his true origin perfectly. How could he block Duan Lingtian's attack? The sword light that was like a scorching sun swept past, first shattering Zhao Dong's attack, then fusing into Zhao Dong's body without losing any momentum. With a shio sound, the sword light pierced through Zhao Dong's body, causing blood to splatter everywhere, like red roses blooming in the air, dazzling and eye-catching. Zhao Dong's body trembled violently as blood spurted out from his chest. His face was pale as he extended his trembling hand to point at Duan Lingtian. However, before he could even straighten his hand, he breathed his last breath. Dead. Even Zhao Dong, who was at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage, had died. The remaining mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan were horrified. However, none of them ran away. None of them was willing to be the one who stood out. The one who stood out usually did not live long. None of them were hot-headed, so they naturally understood this. Just as they were looking at Duan Lingtian anxiously, waiting for Duan Lingtian's decision, Duan Lingtian, who had finished cleaning up the battlefield and collecting the spoils, merely glanced at them indifferently before continuing on his journey. He left just like that? A mystical sky mansion's disciple from the Zhao clan who was drenched in cold sweat muttered to himself when he saw Duan Lingtian's silhouette disappearing into the distance. What else can he do? Don't tell me you hope he'll make a move on us? Another mystical sky mansion's disciple from the Zhao clan asked with a pale expression. It's a good thing our cultivation base is lower so our speed is slower. Otherwise, they wouldn't be the only ones lying on the ground. Another mystical sky mansion's disciple from the Zhao clan said fearfully when he saw the corpses on the ground. Upon hearing his words, the others agreed with him fearfully as well. Is this Ling Tian's doing? At this moment, a voice resonated in the air, giving the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan a fright. Initially, they thought it was Ling Tian who had returned. However, when they turned their heads to look, they were certain it was not Ling Tian who had returned. It was their little junior brother. I'm asking all of you. When he saw the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan did not reply for a long time after hearing his question, his expression turned grave as he asked again. The moment he arrived, he saw the corpses on the ground. Those corpses were all familiar faces to him because they were all members of the Zhao family. He's the one who did this. That Ling Tian is a freak. In less than 2 years, his strength has already reached the peak of the eminent saint stage. Chapter 1826. The Peak of the Eminent Saint Stage. Upon hearing the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan, Zhao Ji narrowed his eyes. He was shocked, but at the same time, he rejoiced. It's a good thing I've already entered the divine saint stage. Otherwise, I might not have been able to kill Ling Tian today. Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan, Zhao Ji's figure flashed and disappeared before their eyes. Naturally, he did not really disappear. His speed was so fast that it seemed as though he had disappeared before their eyes. Little junior brother's speed. The mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan looked at each other. They could see the shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. Although those who were lucky enough to survive were only at the intermediate eminent saint stage, they were still at the intermediate eminent saint stage. Even if a powerhouse at the mastery eminent saint stage or the peak of the eminent saint stage unleashed his full speed, it was impossible for him to disappear before their eyes. Only a powerhouse at the divine saint stage or above would be able to appear and disappear before their eyes. Naturally, there was another possibility. He might have used a Dao talisman. Among the Dao talismans, there were some high-grade escape Dao talismans. Once they were used, it was not difficult for them to disappear before the eyes of a group of intermediate eminent saint stage martial and Dao cultivators. I've long known that Lord Guardian and Lord Vice Mansion Master dote on little junior brother a lot. The escape Dao talisman little junior brother used earlier must have been given to him by Lord Guardian or Lord Vice Mansion Master. It must be an extremely high-grade Dao talisman to be able to make him disappear. He used such a high-grade escape Dao talisman so casually. Little junior brother is really rich. Comparisons are odious. Why is it that little junior brother is doted on the moment he was born? There's always someone who prepared everything for him. On the other hand, we can only rely on ourselves. From the beginning until the end, the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan did not think Zhao Ji was a divine saint stage powerhouse at all. This was because as members of the Zhao clan, they knew Zhao Ji's background very well. Although Zhao Ji's innate talent was not bad, in their opinion, he had only broken through to the mastery-refined saint stage at most. They did not even dare to think about breaking through to the eminent saint stage, let alone the divine saint stage, because that was something that they subconsciously felt was impossible. If Zhao Ji did not cultivate the devouring dark devil technique, perhaps the group of mystical sky mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan would have thought the same. Unfortunately, Zhao Ji had cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. After devouring a large amount of young women's vital essence and blood, his cultivation base had entered the early divine saint stage. Far ahead, Duan Lingtian continued on his way. This time, he didn't deliberately suppress the sun true essence in his body and traveled at full speed. The speed that was comparable to a powerhouse at the peak of the eminent saint stage made him seem like a cannonball that was shot out of the barrel. Wherever he passed, the clouds, mist, and airflow avoided him. Looking from afar, it was as if a heavenly road had been opened up to the south. The Azure Cloud Mansion's estate was located in the south. When did I start to feel compassion for those who want to kill me? Recalling the scene just now, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but laugh at himself. Previously, he could have waited for the intermediate eminent Saint Stage disciples from the Zhao clan to get close to him before making his move to kill them. However, at the moment the Zhao clan's late eminent Sage Realm disciples pounced on him, even he did not know why he was suddenly compassionate. He took the initiative to kill the group of Zhao clan's late eminent Sage Realm disciples who pounced on him. As for the group of intermediate eminent Saint Stage disciples from the Zhao clan, he merely used his aura as a warning and did not make a move on them. If it was in the past, he would not have spared those who wanted to kill him. Could it be that I'm in a good mood because I'm going to be reunited with father and mother soon? That's why I feel compassion for them unknowingly. In the end, this was the only explanation Duan Lingtian could come up with. Swoosh. Without warning, a thunderous sound resonated from behind Duan Lingtian. Based on the sound, it was getting closer and closer to him. What a fast speed! Duan Lingtian, who was traveling at full speed using his sun True Origin, was horrified when he heard the sound that was getting closer and closer to him. In fact, his current speed could be considered as fast among all the powerhouses at the peak of the eminent Saint Stage. However, the speed of the person who was chasing after him was a level faster than him. Divine Saint Stage Powerhouse. Duan Lingtian immediately guessed who was chasing after him. Only a powerhouse at the Divine Saint Stage or above could have such a fast speed. Didn't Senior Brother Guli ask someone to restrict the powerhouses at the quintessential Saint Stage and above from the Zhao clan? How come there's still a fish that slipped through the net? Duan Lingtian's expression turned slightly grave, but he did not panic. This was because he discovered that although the speed of the person chasing after him was fast, it was not to the point where he could not accept it. If I'm not mistaken, the person who's chasing after me is most likely an early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he calmed down. If he did not have the Jasper Celestial Sword, he might be slightly fearful of an early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse. However, since he possessed the Jasper Celestial Sword, he was confident he could kill an early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse. Due to the fact that there was a huge gap between the Divine Saint Stage and the Eminent Saint Stage, he would need to mobilize at least 50% of the Sun True Origin in his body to kill an early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse, even if he used the Jasper Celestial Sword. If there are more than 3 early Divine Saint Stage powerhouses, it might be a little troublesome. But now, Devil Chi? This early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse is a devil cultivator? As the person chasing after him got closer and closer to Duan Lingtian could clearly feel an oppressive aura surging from behind him. At the same time, the Devil Seal tablet in his spatial ring began to tremble for no reason. He immediately regained his senses. The early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse chasing after him was a devil cultivator. After confirming the person chasing after him was a devil cultivator, Duan Lingtian could not help but smile. If the person was not a devil cultivator, he would need to exhaust 50% of the Sun True Origin in his body and use the Jasper Celestial Sword to kill him. However, now that he had confirmed the person was a devil cultivator, he did not even need to use the Jasper Celestial Sword. With the Sun True Origin in his body that was comparable to the True Origin at the peak of the Eminent Saint Stage, he could kill any devil cultivator below the Refined Saint Stage by activating the Devil Seal tablet. I'd like to see who this unlucky person is. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he came to a halt and turned around to look into the distance. In the distance, a figure that was shrouded in vast devil chi was charging toward Duan Lingtian at an extremely fast speed. His speed was so fast that even Duan Lingtian could only see an afterimage. Strange pupil. After activating the strange pupil, the figure of the person became clearer. Duan Lingtian's gaze landed on the person's face. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian was stunned. Lingtian, it seems like you already know you can't escape. An early Divine Saint Stage powerhouse said coldly as he stood near Duan Lingtian. It's you. Duan Lingtian was stunned, because he recognized the early divine saint stage powerhouse who had caught up to him. He was familiar with the person. Before this, he did not expect the early divine saint stage powerhouse who was chasing after him would be this person. Zhao Ji. He was the grandson of Zhao Jin, one of the two great guardians of the mystical sky mansion, and the son of Zhao Ding, the vice mansion master of mystical sky mansion. Duan Lingtian still remembered Zhao Ji was only an intermediate refined saint stage martial cultivator 2 years ago. However, in less than 2 years, his cultivation base had already broken through to the early divine saint stage, and he had even become a devil cultivator. Even though Duan Lingtian had seen a lot, he could not help but feel shocked by such a ridiculous cultivation speed. Lingtian, you didn't expect it to be me, right? When Zhao Ji saw the astonished expression on Duan Lingtian's face, he felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. He could not help but feel elated. It's only been less than 2 years, but you've already broken through to the early divine saint stage from the intermediate refined saint stage. It seems like you must have had a fortuitous encounter during this period of time. After a long while, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and regained his senses. The shocked expression on his face disappeared and was replaced with a calm expression. Lingtian, I, Zhao Ji, have been waiting for this day for a long time. Today, I'll settle the score with you. Zhao Ji's eyes were red as he spoke. He sounded a little hysterical when he reached the end of his sentence. He remembered how Duan Lingtian had humiliated him by slapping him twice in public at the peak of the Heaven Palace. He remembered how he had only stayed in the Saint Martial Secret Zone for 3 days before he was kicked out by Duan Lingtian. Rage filled Zhao Ji's chest. He was on the verge of exploding. Settle the score? Duan Lingtian remained calm in the face of Zhao Ji's hysteria. How do you want to settle the score? What else? Naturally, I want you to die. However, don't worry, I won't let you die so easily. I'll slowly torture you and cut you into pieces until you bleed to the last drop of blood. Zhao Ji's eyes were red. He was crazy and paranoid. You want me to die? Don't say I'm looking down on you. Do you even have the ability to do that? Duan Lingtian sneered. He did not regret what he had done to Zhao Ji in the past. If Zhao Ji did not act so overbearing and bully him, he would not have bothered to lower himself to Zhao Ji's level. There were so many people in the mystical sky mansion. It was impossible for Duan Lingtian to target Zhao Ji alone, right? Due to this reason, he did not regret what he had done in the past. Lingtian, you're still as arrogant as before. You've also said that I'm currently at the early divine saint stage. Early divine saint stage. Isn't it easy for an early divine saint stage powerhouse like me to kill a martial cultivator at the peak of the eminent saint stage like you? Chapter 1827. In less than 2 years, you've broken through from the intermediate refined saint stage to the early divine saint stage and even became a devil cultivator. Zhao Ji, don't tell me you've cultivated the devouring dark devil technique? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Zhao Ji with a mocking expression on his face. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the soaring devil qi on Zhao Ji's body paused for a moment. Then, as though he had no intention of hiding his identity, he said frankly, "So what if I did?" "You're right." Duan Lingtian was shocked when he heard Zhao Ji's confirmation. In fact, he had only asked casually. After all, the Debussy subterranean was so big that it was filled with all sorts of strange things. It was normal for one to have a fortuitous encounter. However, Zhao Ji's words had undoubtedly admitted that he had cultivated the devouring dark devil technique. Since you're going to die today, there's no harm in telling you. Su Jing, the young mansion master of Rising Sky Mansion, and Zhu Luqi, the former palace master of Heaven Palace and our mystical sky mansion, are my connections. Not only did Zhu Luqi obtain the devouring dark devil technique, but so did I. In Zhao Ji's opinion, there was no way Duan Lingtian would be able to survive today. Due to this reason, he was not afraid Duan Lingtian would spread the news. I see. Upon hearing Zhao Ji's words, realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. Then, does this mean that the commotion in the remote area in the west in the past 2 years, and the young women who were turned into dried corpses were not Palace Master Zhu's doing? That's right. It was me and Zhu Luqi who turned those young women into dried corpses. However, unlike Zhu Luqi, he never touched those virgins while I like virgins the most, because devouring the vital blood and essence of virgins would allow my cultivation to advance even more swiftly. When Zhaoji reached the end of his sentence, he licked his dry lips as though he had not had enough. His eyes shone like a hungry wolf. Bastard! Duan Lingtian's expression turned grave. Aren't you afraid you'll become the public enemy for cultivating the devouring dark devil technique? The public enemy is Zhu Luqi. As for me, in the eyes of others, I'm just a lucky person who obtained the inheritance of an ancient devil beast. Zhaoji smiled smugly. Aren't you afraid I'll spread the news? Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed with a cold light as he asked, Spread the news? You'll have to survive today. Zhaoji sneered disdainfully. Lingtian, your innate talent is indeed very strong. If you continue to grow, you'll definitely become a prodigy in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land in the future. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have made an enemy out of me. You're the one who ruined yourself. Zhaoji's words were filled with confidence. It was as though he was certain Duan Lingtian would win. If you want to kill me, we'll have to see if you have the ability to do so, Duan Lingtian said coldly. He narrowed his eyes when he saw Zhaoji boasting so shamelessly. Don't worry. I've said before that I won't kill you in a hurry. I'll slowly toy with you until you're dead. Zhaoji's tone turned colder as the devil qi on his body rose. Suddenly, an earth-shattering explosion resonated in the air. Zhaoji, who was shrouded in devil qi, seemed to have transformed into a peerless devil god. In just a blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. Boom! He threw a punch at Duan Lingtian. It was as though a gigantic mountain had collapsed. The attack that was as heavy as Mount Tai pressed down on Duan Lingtian. Naturally, it gave Duan Lingtian a lot of pressure. Whoosh! 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 As the sound of sword whistling reverberated in the air, a layer of golden sword rays appeared on Duan Lingtian's body. It was none other than the colossal sword bell. Apart from that, most of the sword rays swept toward Zhaoji's punch that was shrouded in devil qi. You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Break! Zhaoji shouted loudly. The energy in his fist rose again. It easily suppressed Duan Lingtian's attack and continued to sweep toward Duan Lingtian. What a powerful force! At this moment, Duan Lingtian could deeply feel the strength of an early divine saint stage powerhouse. It was not something he could fight against at this moment. At the very least, he was no match for Zhaoji if he did not use the Jasper Celestial Sword and the Devil Seal Tablet. Whoosh! Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian chose to dodge Zhaoji's punch after probing his strength. However, no matter how fast he was, Zhaoji's punch was even faster. Bang! Although Zhaoji's punch did not land accurately on Duan Lingtian's body, it still made contact with the colossal sword bell that rose from the surface of his body. In just an instant, the colossal sword bell was crushed into pieces. It did not even have time to react. Since the colossal sword bell was crushed, it was only natural that Duan Lingtian suffered a backlash. Coupled with the force of Zhaoji's punch that landed on his body, he was sent flying. Duan Lingtian was sent flying like an arrow. He only managed to stabilize his body after he was sent flying 100 meters away. However, the vital energy and blood in his body were still in turmoil. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels were more or less injured. This was due to his powerful physical body. If it was an ordinary martial cultivator at the peak of the eminent saint stage, he would have suffered more than just minor injuries when faced with Zhaoji's thunderous punch. Zhaoji was slightly surprised when he discovered Duan Lingtian was only slightly injured. Although his punch earlier did not hit Duan Lingtian's body, the force that swept toward Duan Lingtian was definitely not weak. Logically speaking, even if Duan Lingtian did not die, he should be severely injured. However, based on the current situation, his punch had only caused Duan Lingtian to suffer a minor injury. That's good as well. I can play for a little longer. Zhaoji grinned smugly. It was obvious that he had already regarded Duan Lingtian as a piece of meat on his chopping board. Lingtian, is this all you've got? You've really disappointed me. At the same time, Zhao Ji did not forget to provoke Duan Lingtian with a disdainful expression on his face. A haughty expression appeared between his brows. Zhao Ji, faced with Zhao Ji's provocation, Duan Lingtian, who had finally caught his breath, was not provoked at all. Instead, he calmly said, "Since you've been so honest with me and told me everything, I feel that I shouldn't hide too much from you because that would be unfair to you." At this point, Duan Lingtian raised his hand and took out a stone tablet under Zhao Ji's watchful eyes. That stele was missing a corner. However, there were many densely carved characters on it. These words were cryptic and difficult to understand. In any case, Duan Lingtian did not recognize a single one of them. At this moment, the stone tablet in Duan Lingtian's hand trembled violently as if it wanted to break free from Duan Lingtian's control. Zhao Ji did not know why, but when Duan Lingtian took out the stone tablet with a missing corner, a sense of panic rose in his heart. This feeling made him very uncomfortable, but he could not show it in front of Duan Lingtian. However, after that, Zhao Ji's attention shifted to something else. He could clearly see Ling Tian's face that he hated to the core suddenly contorted before it transformed into another handsome face. It looks familiar. When Zhao Ji saw this handsome face, this thought appeared in his mind for no reason. In his memory, he seemed to have seen this face somewhere before, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Actually, Ling Tian is just my name. My surname isn't Ling, it's Duan. Then, Duan Lingtian's words resonated in Zhao Ji's ears. Ling Tian is just a name? Not Ling? Duan? Why are you telling me all this? When Zhao Ji heard Duan Lingtian's words, he instinctively opened his mouth. However, before he could finish speaking, he seemed to have thought of something. His eyes widened abruptly, and he had a shocked expression on his face as he muttered, "Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian. Isn't he the person who obtained the Devil Seal tablet in the rumors?" I remember now. At the same time, when Zhao Ji looked at Duan Lingtian again, he also recognized Duan Lingtian's face. This face is exactly the same as the face of the person in the portrait that was circulated in the lower province. The person in the portrait is none other than Duan Lingtian, who obtained the Devil Seal tablet. You're Duan Lingtian? When Zhao Ji finally regained his senses, he looked at Duan Lingtian as though he had just seen a ghost. Before Duan Lingtian could reply, his gaze landed on the stone tablet with a chipped corner in Duan Lingtian's hand. He could not help but have a horrifying thought in his mind. He's Duan Lingtian. Then, don't tell me this chipped stone tablet that makes my heart palpitate is one of the 10 great super saint weapons on the 10 great saint weapons ranking. The Devil Seal tablet? The Devil Seal tablet was one of the 10 great super saint weapons on the 10 great divine weapons ranking. Anyone who obtained it would be able to kill a devil cultivator who was a stage higher than them. He's at the peak of the eminent saint stage. Then, he can kill all devil cultivators below the refined saint stage with the Devil Seal tablet. The moment Zhao Ji thought of this, his eyes widened. He was so shocked that his heart almost jumped out of his chest. He felt as though God was playing a joke on him. He cultivated the devouring dark devil technique, and his cultivation base had finally entered the divine saint stage after much difficulty. He had even surpassed Ling Tian, who hated him to the core. However, now that he was about to get his revenge, Duan Lingtian actually took out a super saint weapon like the Devil Seal tablet. Don't tell me this Duan Lingtian was sent by God to restrain me? Zhao Ji's heart was filled with shame and indignation. At this moment, he felt as though there was a saying in his heart, since there's a jade tablet, why is there a jade tablet? When Duan Lingtian saw Zhao Ji's expression changing drastically when his gaze landed on the Devil Seal tablet in his hand, his expression turned extremely grave. Naturally, Duan Lingtian also guessed Zhao Ji had recognized the Devil Seal tablet. He could not help but ask mockingly, "What? You recognize it? Why aren't you saying anything? Earlier, didn't you say you're going to torture me to death slowly? Didn't you say you're going to cut me into 1,000 pieces?" Duan Lingtian sneered. After Duan Lingtian withdrew the Devil Seal tablet and exposed his identity, the situation at the scene had undergone a tremendous change. Zhao Ji, who originally had the upper hand, had a horrified expression on his face. Chapter 1828. No. Impossible. How could there be such a coincidence? How could this Ling Tian be that Duan Ling Tian? Zhaoji found it difficult to accept this. If this Ling Tian was really that Duan Ling Tian, then the stone tablet with a missing corner in Ling Tian's hand would be one of the super saint weapons on the 10 great saint weapons ranking, the Devil Seal tablet. With Ling Tian's strength, he could even suppress a devil cultivator at the peak of the divine saint stage with the help of the Devil Seal tablet. However, he was only an early divine saint stage devil cultivator. At this moment, Zhaoji wished Ling Tian was lying to him. However, the fear he felt from the stone tablet with a missing corner in Ling Tian's hand was real. It was not a psychological effect. It's over. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself as he glanced at Zhao Ji nonchalantly. He did not intend to waste his breath on Zhao Ji any longer. Whoosh! At the same time, Duan Ling Tian raised his hand and raised the Devil Seal tablet in his hand. The Sun True Origin in his body surged out and merged with the Devil Seal tablet. The Devil Seal tablet began to tremble even more violently. Waves of black mist also surged out of the demon sealing tombstone and swirled around it. In the end, it solidified into bolts of black lightning that sent chills down one's spine. When the Devil Seal tablet's aura surged out, even if one was not a devil cultivator, one would feel chills down one's spine, let alone a devil cultivator who was restrained by the Devil Seal tablet. When Duan Ling Tian merged his true origin with the Devil Seal tablet, Zhaoji discovered he was being targeted by a terrifying aura. He could not even muster the will to resist in the face of this aura. Apart from that, he discovered the energy in his body had stagnated. No matter how hard he tried, it was useless. No, Zhao Ji was scared out of his wits. At this moment, he was 100% certain the inconspicuous stone tablet with a missing corner in Ling Tian's hand was the Devil Seal tablet. If it was not the Devil Seal tablet, it would not be able to restrain him like this. Ling Tian's true identity was indeed Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been so arrogant. I shouldn't have taken advantage of you. I shouldn't have bullied you. You should have hit me. You should have kicked me out of the St. Martial secret zone. I should have kicked you. I should have kicked you. As long as you don't kill me, I won't expose your identity. I won't hold a grudge against you in the future, and I won't seek revenge against you. I can swear on the lightning penalty oath. I swear by the lightning penalty oath. Let me go. I beg you, let me go. Faced with Duan Ling Tian, who was about to throw the Devil Seal tablet at him, Zhaoji had no choice but to admit defeat no matter how much he hated Duan Ling Tian. If he did not submit and the Devil Seal tablet came crashing down on him, he would definitely die. In the face of death, Zhaoji, who valued his life more than anything else, only had one thought in his mind at this moment, and that was to survive. Nothing else mattered to him anymore. At this moment, even if Zhaoji was asked to kill his father and grandfather, as long as he could survive, he would do it. Under the suppression of the Devil Seal tablet, it was useless even if the devouring dark devil technique that he cultivated had the soul congregation technique recorded in it. This was because the Devil Seal tablet mainly targeted the soul. Once it attacked a devil cultivator, it would immediately crush the devil cultivator's soul. In the face of the Devil Seal tablet's attack, the soul congregation technique was useless. However, in the face of Zhaoji's begging and submission, Duan Ling Tian completely ignored him. Without saying a word, he lifted the Devil Seal tablet and threw it at Zhaoji. Boom! The moment the demon sealing tombstone made its move, space shook and ripples spread out like ripples. A vast wave of energy also surged out, and the surrounding clouds were all dispersed. It was as though something had exploded. Whoosh! The sound of wind and thunder reverberated in the air wherever the Devil Seal tablet passed. In just a blink of an eye, it was already close to Zhaoji. No. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian, who had a look of despair on his face, could only let out a silent cry in his heart. After he lifted the Devil Seal tablet and threw it out, Duan Ling Tian looked on coldly from the side. In his opinion, it would be easy for him to kill Zhaoji with the Devil Seal tablet that was powered by his Sun True Origin. There was no doubt that Zhaoji would die. Rumble. However, When the Devil Seal tablet was close to Zhao Ji and was about to kill him, a loud noise resonated in the air again. Along with the noise, a wave of devil chi that was even more majestic surged into the sky. Who's there? When Duan Lingtian heard the loud noise and sensed the powerful devil chi, he immediately took out the Jasper celestial sword and looked at the sky warily. The loud noise was caused by a wave of energy that tore through the sky. The wave of energy was extremely powerful and contained a shocking amount of devil chi. It was obvious that a powerful devil cultivator who was hiding in the dark had made his move. Whoosh! At the same time, the Devil Seal tablet that was just a foot away from Zhao Ji and was about to kill him seemed to have sensed something. It paused in the air for a moment as though inertia did not exist to it. However, after pausing for a moment, it did not change its target. It continued to charge toward Zhao Ji. At this moment, under Duan Ling Tian's gaze, a graceful figure appeared in his field of vision like a bolt of lightning. As soon as the figure appeared, it charged toward Duan Ling Tian as fast as it could. It's her. The graceful figure grew larger and larger in Duan Ling Tian's field of vision. At the same time, the person's face was clearly seen by Duan Ling Tian. It did not cross Duan Ling Tian's mind that he would see this woman here. Although the woman's appearance had changed slightly after so many years, he still recognized her with just a glance. This woman was none other than the uneducated eldest young miss he had met in the Nine Sect Alliance's district, Ouyang Ruo, the eldest young miss of the Ouyang clan in Han River City. Because of Ouyang Ruo, he had a huge conflict with the Ouyang clan. However, he heard that the Ouyang clan had been annihilated. Initially, he thought Ouyang Ruo was done for. He did not expect her to be alive and standing in front of him. Moreover, after so many years, Ouyang Ruo's strength seemed to be even more powerful than his. No, not only was she more powerful than him, but even Zhao Ji was no match for her. In fact, Ouyang Ruo was far weaker than him back then. This Ouyang Ruo, what kind of fortuitous encounter did she have? A few years ago, she was no match for me, but today, her cultivation base is even stronger than the intermediate divine saint stage. At this moment, many thoughts appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. Duan Lingtian, you've caused the annihilation of my Ouyang clan and my brother's tragic death. Today, I'll kill you to avenge my brother and the Ouyang clan. At the same time, a cold woman's voice resonated in Duan Lingtian's ears. It was Ouyang Ruo's voice. In just a blink of an eye, before Duan Lingtian could react, Ouyang Ruo had already arrived in front of him. She was only a foot away from him as she stared at him with bloodshot eyes. A vast energy rose from her body along with the monstrous devil chi, pressuring Duan Lingtian. She's a devil cultivator as well. At the same time that Duan Lingtian felt the danger, he secretly gasped. Whoosh! As though it had sensed the danger its master, Duan Lingtian, was in, the Devil Seal tablet that was supposed to continue killing Zhao Ji suddenly turned around and charged at Ouyang Ruo when it was only a finger's distance away from Zhao Ji. Die! At the moment before the Devil Seal tablet turned around and charged toward Ouyang Ruo, a narrow saber appeared in Ouyang Ruo's hand out of thin air. The narrow saber contained a monstrous devil chi and a powerful force as it charged toward Duan Lingtian. Ouyang Ruo's eyes were filled with hatred. At this moment, she only had eyes for Duan Lingtian. She even ignored the Devil Seal tablet that was charging at her. It was obvious she wanted to kill Duan Lingtian, even if she had to risk her life. In her opinion, if it was not for Duan Lingtian, her Ouyang clan would not have been annihilated, and her brother would not have been sent to that damned place to die. She would not have been tortured in that damned place and barely escaped death before she managed to obtain the inheritance from the primordial devil cultivator. It was precisely because she had obtained the inheritance from the primordial devil cultivator hidden in the nether ridge that Wang Fei Xian's cultivation base had soared in just a few years. Currently, she had already entered the Mastery Divine Saint stage. She was 2 levels stronger than Zhao Ji. As Ouyang Ruo's saber charged at him, Duan Lingtian felt a great pressure. This pressure caused him to be on the verge of suffocating. After all, he had made the first move. Even though the Devil Seal tablet was fast, it would be difficult for it to suppress Ouyang Ruo before her saber touched Duan Lingtian. For this reason, the Devil Seal tablet could not save Duan Lingtian. At the very least, it could not save him at this moment. Jasper Celestial Sword. It's all up to you now. When Ouyang Ruo had appeared and revealed her strength at the intermediate Divine Saint stage, Duan Lingtian had already raised his guard. The 99 saint veins in his body had also circulated the Sun True Origin in his hand and was ready to attack. When Duan Lingtian saw Ouyang Ruo's saber charging at him, he immediately circulated the Sun True Origin that he had been accumulating and channeled it into the Jasper Celestial Sword without any reservation. This was because his life was at stake. If he was not careful, he would be doomed eternally. For this reason, Duan Lingtian circulated the Sun True Origin that was channeled into the Jasper Celestial Sword. It was almost all of the Sun True Origin in his body. Duan Lingtian's Sun True Origin had completely merged with the Jasper Celestial Sword. It was as though a martial cultivator at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage had channeled all of his true origin into the Jasper Celestial Sword. It caused the Jasper Celestial Sword to shine brightly and emit a terrifying aura. At the same time, streaks of solid golden sword energy appeared around the sword. Whoosh! Chapter 1829. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Although Ouyang Ruo noticed the unusual sword in Duan Lingtian's hand, she did not think much of Duan Lingtian's sword. In her opinion, he was merely a martial cultivator at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage. Even if he had the famous Super Saint weapon, the 9 Cloud Sword, on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking, it would be impossible for him to block her attack. This was the confidence she had as a Mastery Divine Saint stage Devil Cultivator. If it was not for the fact that she was afraid of the Devil Seal tablet in Duan Lingtian's hand, she would not have hidden in the dark and waited for an opportunity to make her move. It was only when Zhaoji appeared and attracted the Devil Seal tablet's attention that she realized this was the best opportunity for her to make her move. Due to this reason, when she saw the Devil Seal tablet did not abandon Zhaoji after she had tested its reaction with her attack, she seized the opportunity to make her move. She was prepared to perish together with Duan Lingtian. Wong. The saber in Ouyang Ruo's hand slashed across the sky like a silver moon before it collided with the Jasper Celestial Sword in Duan Lingtian's hand. Both of them collided violently. Boom, 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 boom. As the energy from the saber in Ouyang Ruo's hand collided with the energy from the Jasper Celestial Sword, the air trembled as a series of thunderous explosions reverberated in the air. Rolling airwaves swept out and set off violent winds. Impossible. When Ouyang Ruo discovered the energy from Duan Lingtian's sword was slightly stronger than the energy from the saber in her hand, horror dawned on her immediately. This was because she had never thought something like this would happen. Wasn't Duan Lingtian a martial cultivator at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage? Since when was the strength of a martial cultivator at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage strong enough to fight a Mastery Divine Saint stage Devil Cultivator? At this moment, Ouyang Ruo did not even think about the sword in Duan Lingtian's hand. At the same time, Zhaoji, who was abandoned by the Devil Seal tablet in the distance, did not even have the time to think or see what was going on. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared in the distance like a ghost, far away from the place where Duan Lingtian and Ouyang Ruo were fighting. Poochie. A crisp sound rang out. Duan Lingtian's Jasper Celestial Sword had broken the saber in Ouyang Ruo's hand. Then, like a venomous snake, it viciously bit towards Ouyang Ruo. After all, Ouyang Ruo was a Mastery Divine Saint stage powerhouse. Coupled with the fact that Duan Lingtian's Jasper Celestial Sword was running out of energy, she managed to dodge the fatal attack from the Jasper Celestial Sword. However, even though she managed to dodge the Jasper Celestial Sword's fatal attack, the Devil Seal Tombstone had also arrived. Boom! The Devil Seal Tombstone shot through the air like a mountain and crashed down on Ouyang Ruo. It was as if it wanted to completely suppress her. No! Ouyang Ruo's eyes were filled with unwillingness when she saw the Devil Seal tablet that was charging at her and Duan Lingtian, who was standing in the distance with a pale face and tottering body. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. She exerted all her strength to activate the broken saber in her hand. She wanted to throw the saber out and kill Duan Lingtian before the Devil Seal tombstone could suppress her. She was confident that once the broken saber in her hand was thrown out, Duan Lingtian would definitely die. This was her last chance. Unfortunately, just as Ouyang Ruo was about to activate the energy in her body and send it into the broken saber, the energy in her hand suddenly surged out. At this moment, the terrifying energy from the Devil Seal tombstone had already enveloped her body. The raging energy surged into her mind as though it was free of charge, directly destroying her soul. With her soul destroyed, Ouyang Ruo's body was, naturally, a walking corpse. The broken saber in her hand that was about to be thrown out fell from her hand. Huff, 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 huff. In the distance, Duan Lingtian's tense nerves immediately relaxed when he saw Ouyang Ruo being killed by the Devil Seal tombstone. He panted heavily. Oh no, that Zhaoji ran away. After taking a few deep breaths and recovering slightly, Duan Lingtian inadvertently glanced into the distance. When he saw that there was no one there, his expression changed drastically. The Devil Seal tombstone. At the same time, Duan Lingtian looked at the Devil Seal tombstone. The Devil Seal tombstone seemed to be able to sense Duan Lingtian's emotions. The flashing black lightning around its body became even more intense and raging. Then, it started to spin in the air as if it was searching for something or confirming the direction. Whoosh! After a short moment, under Duan Lingtian's expectant gaze, the Devil Seal tablet suddenly shook before it seemed to have transformed into a meteor that soared through the sky and disappeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes in just a blink of an eye. The Devil Seal tombstone was chasing in the direction that Zhaoji had escaped. Zhaoji! After putting away Ouyang Ruo's spatial ring, Duan Lingtian hurried on with his remaining Sun True Origin. Although his speed was not as fast as when he was at his peak, it was not slow either. However, as his Sun True Origin continued to deplete, his speed began to slow down. I hope the Devil Seal tombstone can catch up to Zhao Ji and kill him. At this moment, Duan Lingtian could only pray in his heart. In the distance, after Zhao Ji saw the Devil Seal tombstone had abandoned him, he fled as fast as he could. He did not dare to hold back at all. In the beginning, although he was running, he did not hear anything behind him. For this reason, he had a relieved expression on his face. However, when he heard the sound of something tearing through the air behind him, horror dawned on him. The Devil Seal tombstone has caught up to me? While he was fleeing, Zhao Ji turned his head to look behind him. With just a glance, he saw something that looked like a black bolt of lightning charging toward him at an extremely fast speed. Its speed was even faster than a powerhouse at the peak of the Divine Saint stage. When Zhaoji turned his head and saw the black bolt of lightning, a thought appeared in his mind. However, the black bolt of lightning had already arrived in front of him and was heading straight for his head. No! Zhaoji only managed to cry out in grief before his body jolted and fell from the sky. Looking at his widened eyes, the spiritual light was no longer there. Instead, it was replaced by a dull and lifeless gaze. It was apparent Zhao Ji's soul had been suppressed by the Devil Seal tombstone. After 15 minutes, Duan Lingtian finally arrived. When he saw the Devil Seal tombstone hovering in the air and Zhao Ji who was lying on the ground, he sighed in relief. It's a good thing I didn't let Zhao Ji escape. Otherwise, wouldn't the news of me being Duan Lingtian spread like wildfire? The Devil Seal tombstone is one of the famous 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking in the Dao Martial Saint Land. Even in the Upper Province, it's an extraordinary existence. If news of this spread out, even if I have the protection of the Azure Cloud Mansion, nobody from the Lower Province would dare to snatch the Devil Seal tombstone from me. However, what about the Upper Province? Although the people from the Lower Province fear the Azure Cloud Mansion, the powerhouses from the Upper Province don't care about the Azure Cloud Mansion at all. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he felt a lingering fear in his heart. However, with Zhao Ji's death, everything had come to an end. The news of him being Duan Lingtian would not spread. At the very least, it would not spread for now. After killing Zhao Ji, Duan Lingtian rested for a while before continuing on his journey to the Azure Cloud Mansion. In the Mystical Sky Mansion's main mansion. At this time, Ji should have killed Ling Tian by now, right? Since Zhao Deng was restrained by Qin Ping Sheng, the palace master of Yellow Palace, he could not leave the mystical Sky Mansion's estate. He could only wait at home for news. Smack! All of a sudden, a clear sound resonated from nearby and attracted Zhao Deng's attention. Zhao Deng looked over and saw the 3 pearls enshrined on the table in the distance. The one on the right had shattered into pieces. Seeing this bead shatter, Zhao Deng's eyes suddenly widened, and a scarlet color appeared in his eyes. Jeer! After a long while, he finally roared out loud. His voice was filled with anger and sorrow. That pearl belonged to his son, Zhao Ji, the soul pearl. The shattering of the soul pearl meant that Zhao Ji was killed and his soul was destroyed. Whoosh! Zhao Deng, who was filled with anger and sorrow, had completely forgotten about Qin Ping Sheng. He immediately flew out of the mystical Sky Mansion to chase after Ling Tian. He wanted to know how his son had died. However, Qin Ping Sheng did not know what Zhao Deng had gone through, so he directly stopped him. Palace Master Qin, my son has been killed. Don't tell me you're going to stop me from finding the murderer? Perhaps you're one of the accomplices in killing my son? Zhao Deng stared at Qin Ping Sheng with bloodshot eyes, causing Qin Ping Sheng to feel chills running up his spine. Zhao Ji has been killed? Qin Ping Sheng frowned. Do you think I'll lie to you about this? Palace Master Qin, you better think this through. If I lose the best time to find the murderer because of your obstruction, you'll become an accomplice as well. At that time, you'll have to answer to my father yourself. When Zhao Deng reached the end of his sentence, he even mentioned his father, Zhao Jin. His tone was filled with anger and impatience. When Qin Ping Sheng heard this, he gasped. He could tell Zhao Deng did not seem to be lying. Due to this reason, he obediently moved aside. Since almost half of the 3 days had passed, Ling Tian must have left the mystical Sky Mansion. Even if Zhao Deng went after him, it would be impossible for him to catch up to him. When Zhao Ji left the mystical Sky Mansion's estate, he asked some of the mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan. When he found out the direction Duan Ling Tian and the group of mystical Sky Mansion's disciples at the intermediate refined saint stage and above had left, he immediately rushed over. He knew his son must have gone in that direction as well. Soon after, Zhao Deng encountered the group of intermediate eminent saint stage disciples from the Zhao clan who were returning to the mystical Sky Mansion. He immediately stopped them and asked in a deep voice, "Did you see Jier, Lord Vice Mansion Master?" The group of Zhao clan's disciples bowed respectfully when they saw Zhao Deng. They nodded in response to his question. "Lord Vice Mansion Master, we met little junior brother earlier. However, little junior brother seemed to have used an escape Dao talisman and disappeared before our eyes." Many people said in unison, "Escape Dao talisman?" Zhao Deng frowned. However, when he extended his divine consciousness and probed the cultivation base of the group of Zhao clan's disciples, realization dawned on him. Chapter 1830. Due to this reason, it was normal for them to think his son had used an escape technique Dao talisman. Zhao Ji thought to himself, "As far as I know, all the powerhouses at the intermediate eminent saint stage or above from our Zhao clan who are not in closed-door cultivation in the mystical Sky Mansion's estate have gone after Ling Tian. Why are all of you the only ones here? Where's Zhao Dong and the others?" Zhao Deng looked at the group of intermediate eminent saint stage mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan. An ominous feeling rose in his heart. Lord Vice Mansion Master, Zhao Dong and the other senior brothers at the Mastery Eminent Saint stage were killed by Ling Tian. Soon after, someone replied to Zhao Deng's question. "What?" Upon hearing this, horror dawned on Zhao Deng's face as though he was struck by lightning. Zhao Dong was killed? Zhao Dong was a disciple from the Zhao clan who was ranked at the top of the mystical sky ranking. Not long ago, he had even entered the peak of the eminent saint stage. However, he was killed by Ling Tian today. Ling Tian. Zhao Deng's eyes were burning with rage, as though it could burn everything. Ling Tian had actually killed Zhao Dong and the other Mastery Eminent Saint stage disciples from the Zhao clan. This was undoubtedly destroying the foundation of the Zhao clan. Perhaps, Zhao Deng and the others were still unable to shoulder the burden of the Zhao clan. However, after a few decades, or even 100 years, the Zhao clan would have to rely on them. But now, Zhao Deng and the others had died before they even had the chance to grow. They had died in Ling Tian's hands. How could Zhao Deng not be furious? At this moment, Zhao Deng seemed to have forgotten something. If Zhao Dong and the others did not go after Ling Tian would not have been so ruthless. Of course, not to mention that Zhao Deng had forgotten about this matter. Even if he remembered, he wouldn't think so. In his opinion, it was only right for the people from the Zhao clan to kill others, but it was wrong for others to kill the people from the Zhao clan. When did all of you meet Jie? Zhao Deng took a deep breath and suppressed the rage in his heart as he looked at the disciples from the Zhao clan. He asked the group of mystical Sky Mansion's disciples from the Zhao clan. After Ling Tian killed Zhao Deng and the others and left, little junior brother arrived. Someone was the first to respond. You were there too? Zhao Deng's face darkened. Why didn't Ling Tian kill you? Maybe it's because we were too slow and didn't get close to him in time, so we didn't provoke him. Or maybe it's because he disdained to kill us. Many people smiled bitterly. Ji must have gone after Ling Tian. Could it be that he was killed by Ling Tian? Impossible. That Ling Tian is merely a martial cultivator at the peak of the eminent saint stage. It's impossible for him to kill Jie. Zhao Deng had thousands of thoughts in his mind. At the same time, he moved in the direction that Duan Ling Tian had left. He was certain that his son had gone after that Ling Tian. Therefore, if he wanted to find clues about his son's murder, he had to take this route. Vice Mansion Master's expression doesn't look too good. The group of intermediate eminent saint stage disciples from the Zhao clan looked at each other when they saw Zhao Deng leaving in such a hurry. They could see that Zhao Deng's expression was grave, and he seemed to have encountered something urgent. Don't tell me something happened to little junior brother? It was unknown who said this, but the entire crowd fell silent again. That's possible. Many people agreed after a few moments. However, no matter what, this was only their speculation. For this reason, they quickly stopped discussing this matter. If news of their speculation spread out and reached the ears of the Vice Mansion Master or the Guardian, they would definitely be in deep trouble. Zhao Deng carefully searched everywhere he passed by. Soon after, he discovered the bodies of Zhao Dong and the others. Although he had heard that Zhao Dong and the others had been killed by Ling Tian, when he saw the corpses of Zhao Dong and the others, Zhao Deng was filled with anger again. Ling Tian, our Zhao family is absolutely irreconcilable with you. I, Zhao Deng, swear that I'm not human if I don't kill you. But unfortunately, Duan Ling Tian was bound to not be able to hear his hysteria. Even if he heard it, Duan Ling Tian would only snort in disdain. Irreconcilable? Could it be that the Zhao clan was not irreconcilable with him before this? If that was not the case, why would so many people from the Zhao clan try so hard to kill him? Jie, since he was in a hurry to find out the cause of his son's death and the culprit who killed his son, he took a few more glances at Zhao Dong and the others' bodies before he stepped into the air again and continued to move forward. Not long after, he found a corpse. Who's this woman? The body Zhao Deng discovered belonged to Ouyang Ruo. To be more precise, it was Ouyang Ruo who was killed by the Devil Seal tablet. However, Zhao Deng did not recognize her. Although Zhao Deng did not know Ouyang Ruo, he still checked her body. After checking her body, he could not help but gasp. There's no external injury on her body at all. It seems like she was killed by a soul attack. The person who killed her must be a powerhouse who mainly cultivates divine consciousness attacks. In the Dao martial saintland, whether it was martial or Dao cultivators, there were a small number of people who mainly cultivated divine consciousness attacks. When these people attacked with their divine consciousness, they would usually be able to catch their opponents off guard and kill them without leaving a trace. After all, it was the body of a woman he did not know. Zhao Deng did not pay much attention to it. Instead, he began to observe his surroundings. In the end, he really found some traces. Traces of Zhao Ji running for his life. Naturally, Zhao Deng only found some traces. He did not know they were traces of his son running for his life. However, he still followed the traces. An hour later, Zhao Deng found Zhao Ji's body. Although he had killed many people before, his eyes still turned red when he saw his son's body. Jie, who's that? Who killed you? At this moment, Zhao Deng had completely lost his mind. As time passed by, Zhao Deng seemed to know it was useless for him to continue acting like this. He began to calm down and observe his son's body. As soon as he began to observe, he found some clues. He discovered there were no external injuries on Zhaoji's body at all. There were not even any bruises on his body. Doesn't have any external injuries as well. He must have died from his soul being destroyed. Don't tell me he was killed by the same person as the woman I saw who died a long time ago. Who's the person who killed my son? Zhao Deng was about to go crazy when he realized the clues stopped here. He tried his best to search for traces in his surroundings, but he did not find anything. With Jier's speed, he must have caught up with Ling Tian before he came here. However, up until now, I still haven't found Ling Tian's body. I'll head in the direction Ling Tian went after he left the mystical sky mansion. Perhaps I'll be able to find some clues. The moment Zhao Deng thought of this, he decided to continue chasing after Ling Tian. Naturally, he had also stored Zhaoji's body in his spatial ring for safekeeping. At this moment, apart from sadness, there was only anger on his face. It was an uncontrollable anger. Due to Zhaoji's death, Zhao Deng left the mystical sky mansion. After he collected Zhaoji's body, he continued to chase after Ling Tian in the direction of the Azure Cloud Mansion. Naturally, Duan Ling Tian, who was making his way to the Azure Cloud Mansion, was unaware of all this. Although he was unaware, he was still very careful. After he killed Zhaoji, he changed into a set of gray robes. Not only that, but his appearance had also undergone a drastic change with the help of the disguising secret tactic. It was so ordinary that it could not be any more ordinary. At this moment, even if Duan Lingtian's mother, Li Ro, was standing in front of him, she might not be able to recognize him, let alone other people. After traveling for a while, Duan Lingtian could clearly hear the sound of wind whistling behind him. The sound of wind whistling was getting closer and closer. It was obvious it was a powerhouse who was traveling. What a fast speed! This person's cultivation base must be at the Mastery Divine Saint stage at least. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. However, he did not turn around and continued to travel. Ling Tian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian heard a loud shout behind him. Then, he felt as though he was being targeted by someone. Zhao Deng? Duan Lingtian instantly recognized the owner of the voice. It was none other than Zhao Deng, one of the vice mansion masters of Mystical Sky Mansion. He was not surprised by Zhao Deng's appearance, since he had already killed Zhaoji. As long as Zhaoji left a soul pearl in the Mystical Sky Mansion, Zhao Deng would definitely find out about Zhaoji's death and leave the Mystical Sky Mansion to chase after him. As for the powerhouse whom Gu Li had hired to stop Zhao Deng, he might help Gu Li for the sake of Gu Li's father, Gu Xiaiyun. However, it was impossible for him to offend the other guardian, Zhao Jin. After learning that Zhao Jin's most beloved grandson, Zhao Ji, had been killed, how would he dare to stop Zhao Deng? Duan Lingtian was not surprised when Zhao Deng called out his name. Although he had disguised himself, his back remained the same. It was still the same as before. Just by looking at his back, he was still him. Senior, are you talking to me? Duan Lingtian asked, feigning ignorance as he turned around and looked at Zhao Deng, who was staring at him with a burning gaze. He had a confused expression on his face. When Zhao Deng saw Duan Lingtian's ordinary face, he could not help but frown. How was this possible? How could this person who had the same back as Ling Tian have a different face? To be more precise, how could he not be Ling Tian? Zhao Deng extended his divine consciousness and discovered there were no traces of disguise on Zhao Deng's face. He was greatly disappointed. However, Zhao Deng completely ignored Duan Lingtian, who had disguised himself and feigned ignorance. With just a flash, he disappeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian could not help but heave a sigh of relief. His back was also drenched in sweat. It's a good thing I know the disguising secret tactic that can't be detected by divine consciousness. Otherwise, I would have died today. The moment Duan Lingtian thought about this, he could not help but feel relieved. Let's continue on our journey. With my current speed, I should be able to reach the Azure Cloud Mansion in a few days. Chapter 1831. Zhao Deng searched for a few days, but he did not find any clues about Duan Lingtian's whereabouts at all. In the end, he could only return helplessly. I hope father won't come back so soon. Otherwise, I don't know how to tell him about this. He dotes on Ji-er to the point of spoiling him. If he finds out Ji-er is dead, he won't be able to accept it. Zhao Deng prayed inwardly as he made his way back. However, this was only his wishful thinking. When he returned, he discovered his father was already back. I heard Ji-er is back? Where is he? This was the first thing Zhao Jin said when he saw Zhao Deng. Plop. Upon hearing Zhao Jin's words, Zhao Deng kneeled in front of Zhao Jin with a distressed expression on his face. He lowered his head and said, "Father, Ji-er is dead." Boom. Zhao Deng's words were like a bolt from the blue when they entered Zhao Jin's ears. His eyes widened as horror dawned on him. Then, he looked at Zhao Deng and asked sternly, "What happened? I've only left not long ago. How did this happen?" "Father, it's like this." Following that, Zhao Deng began to tell Zhao Jin everything that had happened. He told Zhao Jin about how he had obtained the ancient devil beast's inheritance and how his cultivation base had entered the early divine saint stage. When Zhao Jin found out his grandson had entered the early divine saint stage before the age of 40, he should have been overjoyed. However, before he could rejoice, he found out his grandson, who had such a great fortuitous encounter, was dead. His soul was destroyed by a divine consciousness attack. At some point, Zhao Deng took out Zhao Ji's body. Tears streamed down Zhao Jin's face as he looked at Zhao Ji's body. He gently caressed Zhao Ji's face before his gaze turned cold. So, even if Ji-er wasn't killed by Ling Tian, he was indirectly killed by him? Yes. Zhao Deng nodded and said angrily, if it wasn't for Ling Tian leaving the mystical sky mansion, Ji-er wouldn't have chased after him. If Ji-er didn't chase after him, he wouldn't have died. For this reason, Ling Tian is an indirect accomplice in Ji-er's death. Is there a possibility that the Gu clan fellow also found an expert skilled in divine sense attacks to protect Ling Tian as he left? That person used a divine sense attack to kill Ji-er. Zhao Jin guessed with a sullen face. That's possible. If not for Zhao Jin's reminder, Zhao Deng wouldn't have thought of this. Go. Follow me to find Gu Li. After Zhao Jin finished speaking, he brought Zhao Ji along to look for Gu Li. Gu Li made use of Gu Xi Yun's connections to find a group of powerhouses to restrict the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above from the Zhao clan. This was done to protect his friend. Zhao Jin couldn't do anything to him because of this, because the Zhao clan was in the wrong. However, if the person Gu Li hired to protect Ling Tian killed his grandson, then it would be a completely different matter. However, when they looked for Gu Li denied it. I only found someone to restrict the powerhouses at the Divine Saint stage and above from the Zhao clan. I didn't find a powerhouse skilled in divine sense attacks to protect junior brother Ling Tian. When junior brother Ling Tian left, he was alone. If you don't believe me, I can swear on the lightning penalty oath. After Gu Li swore on the lightning penalty oath, Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng finally realized they had guessed wrongly. Gu Li did not find anyone to protect Ling Tian. Then, who was the person who killed their grandson and son? After Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng left, Gu Xi Yun could not help but sigh. I can't believe Zhao Ji actually died outside. However, what's a refined saint stage martial cultivator like him doing? Is he going to hunt little Tian down? Hermph. With his strength, he's just seeking death if he chased after junior brother Ling Tian. Gu Li snorted coldly and said disdainfully, in my opinion, Gu Li must have died in the hands of junior brother Ling Tian. I don't think it's little Tian. Earlier, they also said Gu Li was killed by a powerhouse skilled in divine sense attacks. There were no external injuries on his body at all. As far as I know, little Tian isn't skilled in divine sense attacks. Gu Xi Yun shook his head. He had a different opinion. No matter what, Zhao Ji deserved to die. Now that he's dead, there's one less disaster in the mystical sky mansion. Gu Li said nonchalantly. Not only did he not sympathize with Zhao Ji's death, but he even took pleasure in his misfortune. It's fine if you say these words here, but if word of this spreads out, I'm afraid Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng won't let this matter rest. To them, Zhao Ji is their lifeblood. Even if Zhao Deng finds another woman to give birth to his son, It'll take at least a few decades for him to become like Zhao Ji. Gu Xiaoyun understood Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng's feelings very well. If something had happened to Gu Li, he would definitely have reacted the same way as Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng. In fact, he might have even lost his composure. Yes, father. Gu Li knew Gu Xiaoyun was doing this for his own good, so he agreed without hesitation. Lear, where did little Tian go? Didn't he say he would go to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land with you, after you've broken through to the Divine Saint stage? Don't tell me he abandoned you and went to the upper province? Gu Xiaoyun asked curiously. Currently, Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng were not around. For this reason, Gu Li could tell his father everything he knew. However, he did not plan to reveal his identity as Duan Lingtian immediately. Instead, he decided to take things one step at a time. Father, junior brother Ling Tian's surname is not Ling. Isn't his name Ling Tian? Why is his surname not Ling? Gu Xiaoyun was puzzled. Ling Tian is his name. As for his surname, father, can you guess what his surname is? When Gu Li reached the end of his sentence, he purposely asked, the world is so big, and there are so many surnames. How would I know what his surname is? Gu Xiaoyun said snappily, all right, stop keeping me in suspense. Just tell me, what's little Tian's surname? He has the same surname as the current mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Gu Li smiled. The current mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Duan Ruffing? Little Tian's surname is Duan? Gu Xiaoyun was a little surprised. In that case, his full name is not Ling Tian but Duan Ling Tian. Wait, no. Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian. I feel like I've heard this name somewhere before. However, I can't recall it at this moment. Devil Seal Tablet. Gu Li reminded him in a timely manner. Devil Seal Tablet. Upon hearing Gu Li's reminder, the fog in Gu Xiaoyun's mind cleared up, and he was suddenly enlightened. I remember now. That lucky kid who obtained the Devil Seal Tablet that caused a commotion back then was called Duan Ling Tian. I can't believe little Tian has the same name as Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian. This name is rare. Gu Xiaoyun smiled. The reason he did not associate the Duan Ling Tian he was familiar with Duan Ling Tian was because he was certain Duan Ling Tian did not disguise himself. He had also seen the portrait of Duan Ling Tian before. Although both of them were very handsome, they were two completely different people. Father, junior brother Ling Tian is the Duan Ling Tian, who obtained the Devil Seal Tablet. Gu Li was speechless when he saw Gu Xiaoyun still had the wrong idea even after his reminder. What? Gu Xiaoyun was, naturally, taken aback by Gu Li's words. However, he quickly shook his head. Impossible. I've seen the portrait of Duan Ling Tian with my own eyes. He's not the same person as little Tian. I'm certain little Tian didn't disguise himself, unless the portrait of Duan Ling Tian was drawn after little Tian disguised himself. Gu Li sighed. He knew his father would not be able to figure it out if he did not explain. As for what he was going to tell Gu Xiaoyun, he had already asked for Duan Ling Tian's opinion. If he only told Gu Xiaoyun this, Duan Ling Tian would not have any objections. As Gu Li explained, Gu Xiaoyun was so shocked that he could not close his mouth for a long time. Li Feng, the monstrous genius who appeared briefly in the Rising Sky Mansions district, was not Duan Ling Tian's senior brother. Instead, he was Duan Ling Tian in disguise. As for Ling Tian, he was also Duan Ling Tian in disguise. Duan Ling Tian's real appearance was exactly the same as the portrait that was circulated that year. Not only had Gu Xiaoyun seen it before, but he also had a portrait of Duan Ling Tian in his hand. Swoosh! Gu Xiaoyun opened the portrait and looked at the handsome young man in it. He sighed emotionally. So this is little Tian's true appearance. However, little Tian's luck is really good. He was actually able to obtain the renowned Super Saint weapon on the 10 Great Saint Weapon rankings, the Devil Seal Tablet. The Devil Seal Tablet is a Super Saint weapon that's capable of restraining devil cultivators. Li-er. Gu Xiaoyun's expression suddenly turned solemn as he stared at Gu Li. You must remember not to tell anyone about little Tian's true identity. If news of this spreads out, he'll definitely become the target of everyone again. At that time, his enemy won't just be the Zhao clan, but the entire Debussy subterranean and the entire Dao Martial Saint Land. Gu Xiaoyun knew how tempting the Devil Seal tablet was. If it was not for the fact that he already regarded Duan Lingtian as one of his own, he would have thought of killing him to snatch the treasure away. This was because the temptation of the Devil Seal tablet was too great. I know. Gu Li nodded. I've only told you this after asking junior brother Ling Tian's opinion. As for the others, I won't tell them before I get junior brother Ling Tian's permission. That's good. Gu Xiaoyun nodded in satisfaction before he continued to ask, You haven't told me if little Tian left in a hurry and didn't wait for you. Did he go to the upper province first? No. Gu Li shook his head. He went to the Azure Cloud Mansion. As for me, I stayed behind to inform you. In a few days, I'll also go to the Azure Cloud Mansion to look for junior brother Ling Tian and leave the lower province with him to the upper province. Azure Cloud Mansion? Why did he go to the Azure Cloud Mansion? Chapter 1832. Father, junior brother Ling Tian has already decided to go to the upper province. Why is he joining the Azure Cloud Mansion for no reason? Gu Li was speechless when he heard Gu Xiaoyun's words. That's true. However, why is he going to the Azure Cloud Mansion? Gu Xiaoyun nodded. Indeed, since he had already decided to head to the upper province, there was no need for that little fellow to join the Azure Cloud Mansion since it would not benefit him at all. The Azure Cloud Mansion is his home. What can he do when he returns? Of course, it's to reunite with his family. Gu Li sighed. What? Gu Xiaoyun's eyes widened. The Azure Cloud Mansion is little Tian's home? What do you mean by that? What's the relationship between little Tian and the Azure Cloud Mansion? That's not right either. If he's related to the Azure Cloud Mansion, why would he come to our mystical Sky Mansion for no reason? Moreover, if he's really from the Azure Cloud Mansion, with his innate talent, he's definitely not someone who has no achievements. I've never heard of a person called Duan Lingtian in the Azure Cloud Mansion before this. Gu Xiaoyun shook his head as he spoke. Father, do you still remember Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Gu Li asked. Although Gu Xiaoyun did not know why his son suddenly asked this question, he still nodded. Of course I remember. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Rufeng, is a martial cultivator from the mortal continent. He's also the only person in the history of the Debussy subterranean who came from the mortal continent to control a peak force. Then what if I said, junior brother Ling Tian is also a martial cultivator from the mortal continent? Gu Li asked again. What? Little Tian is also a martial cultivator from the mortal continent? Gu Xiaoyun was instantly petrified. After a long while, he muttered in astonishment. When did the martial cultivators from the mortal continent become so abnormal? Father, junior brother Ling Tian is the only son of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Gu Li continued. His words were like a heavy bomb, and Gu Xiaoyun was dumbstruck. He only regained his senses after a while, and looked at Gu Li in shock. Lear, is what you said true? Little Tian is the only son of Mansion Master Duan of the Azure Cloud Mansion? Absolutely. Gu Li nodded. However, since he's the only son of Mansion Master Duan of the Azure Cloud Mansion, why would he come to our mystical Sky Mansion? Gu Xiaoyun could not figure it out. However, after Gu Li's explanation, he came to a realization. As it turned out, Duan Lingtian did not go to the Azure Cloud Mansion immediately after he arrived in the Dao Martial Saintland because he had lost the clue his father had left for him. It was only recently when he heard about some of the deeds of Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, and his name that he was certain of it. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion was his father. He immediately rushed to the Azure Cloud Mansion to reunite with his family. It's fortunate that Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng didn't know about little Tian's background. Otherwise, they wouldn't have dared to make a move on little Tian even if they were given 100 guts. Gu Xiaoyun said as his eyes gleamed, Father, junior brother Ling Tian's identity is special, and it's not good to expose it. Not only is he the son of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, but he's also the one who possesses the Devil Seal tablet. If news of him possessing the Devil Seal tablet spreads out, I'm afraid even the Azure Cloud Mansion won't be able to protect him. Even the powerhouses from the upper province will be attracted by the Devil Seal tablet. Gu Li said with a worried expression on his face. That's right. The temptation of the Devil Seal tablet is too great. Gu Xiaoyu nodded in agreement. Then, he looked at Gu Li and continued to say, for this reason, it's all the more reason we can't expose little Tian's background. Otherwise, what awaits him in the Azure Cloud Mansion is a disaster. After all, a man's wealth is his own ruin. Understood, Gu Li said solemnly. On the other hand, after Zhao Jin and Zhao Deng left, they felt even more frustrated. Up until now, they still had no clue how their grandson and son had died. They had a lot of strength, but there was nothing they could do about it. If we want to find Jier's murderer, there's only one way to go now. Zhao Jin said in a deep voice. Father, are you referring to Ling Tian? Zhao Deng asked. That's right. Zhao Jin nodded before he continued to say, as far as I know, Ling Tian had made an appointment with that lad from Gu clan to go to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. However, he has left on his own. Although that lad from Gu clan has broken through to the Divine Saint stage, he still hasn't left with Ling Tian. I have a feeling that Ling Tian hasn't gone to the upper province yet. Moreover, based on what you said, he didn't leave in the direction of the upper province. Zhao Jin said in one breath. Father, where did Ling Tian go? Why don't we ask Gu Li about it? Zhao Deng said as his eyes flashed fiercely. Humph, do you think Gu Li will tell you? Zhao Jin snorted coldly as he looked at Zhao Deng as though he was looking at an idiot. If it was someone else who looked at him like that, Zhao Deng would have long gone berserk. However, the person who looked at him like that was his father. Even if he was unhappy, he did not dare to show it. Father, what do you think we should do? Zhao Deng asked again. Keep an eye on that lad from Gu clan. He's the most important clue if we want to find Ling Tian. It's fine if he doesn't leave the mystical sky mansion. However, once he leaves, follow him and see if he's going to look for Ling Tian, Zhao Jin said. His eyes lit up. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Zhao Deng's eyes lit up immediately. At the same time, he secretly admired his father. As expected, the older the wiser. Duan Lingtian was completely unaware of what was happening in the mystical sky mansion. Currently, he had already arrived at the vicinity of the Azure Cloud Mansion's estate. The Azure Cloud Mansion's estate was located at the south of the Debussy subterranean. It was located above a vast and boundless lake. If one stood by the side of the lake, one would not be able to see the other side of the lake. It felt as though one was standing by the sea and looking at the endless ocean. This was the crouching dragon lake that surrounded the Azure Cloud Mansion's estate. The entire lake was like a divine dragon coiling around the Azure Cloud Mansion's estate. That was how the crouching dragon lake got its name. Azure Cloud Mansion. Mother, Tianer will be able to see you soon. Little Fayer, I'm here. I'm here to see you and our child. Father, I'm here. Outside the crouching dragon lake, Duan Lingtian hovered in the air as he looked in the direction of the crouching dragon lake. His emotions were surging. After a long while, Duan Lingtian finally calmed down before he stepped into the air and entered the crouching dragon lake. The instant Duan Lingtian entered the crouching dragon lake, the calm surface of the crouching dragon lake suddenly began to ripple. In the end, a loud bang reverberated in the air. Bang, 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 bang. After the loud bang reverberated in the air, a series of loud bangs reverberated in the air. One after another, gigantic figures emerged from the crouching dragon lake, breaking the calm surface of the crouching dragon lake. Who's there? How dare you trespass into the Azure Cloud Mansion's estate? At the same time, a thunderous voice resonated in Duan Lingtian's ears. As soon as Duan Lingtian stepped onto the surface of the crouching dragon lake, 10 gigantic figures emerged from the crouching dragon lake. They rose into the air and surrounded him like stars surrounding the moon. Wild beasts? At the same time, Duan Lingtian's eyes landed on the 10 gigantic figures around him. He discovered they were 10 gigantic wild beasts. There was a black figure standing on the backs of these wild beasts. They were all soldiers dressed in black armor with cold expressions on their faces. These soldiers seemed to emit waves of coldness, giving people a bone-chilling feeling. Black armored guards? During his journey here, Duan Lingtian had deliberately asked around about the Azure Cloud Mansion. He knew the black armored guards were the most elite guards in the Azure Cloud Mansion. The weakest black armored guards were at the early imminent saint stage. In the Azure Cloud Mansion, only those who were at the early imminent saint stage and above were qualified to become a black armored guard. Due to the fact that the black armored guards were the elites of the Azure Cloud Mansion, there were only 1,000 of them. They were collectively known as the Black Armored Army. It was said that the Black Armored Army of the Azure Cloud Mansion consisted of 1 Chiliarch, 10 Centurions, and 100 Decurions. The Chiliarch was also the commander of the Black Armored Army. He was one of the exemplary Saint Stage powerhouses in the Azure Cloud Mansion. The 10 Centurions below him were all at the Mastery Divine Saint Stage, or the peak of the Divine Saint Stage. As for the 100 Decurions, the weakest one was at the peak of the Imminent Saint Stage. No wonder people say the Azure Cloud Mansion and the Mountain Shade Black Market are much stronger than the other quasi-third-rate forces. Put aside the Mountain Shade Black Market, just the strength of the Azure Cloud Mansion alone is far from what the Mystical Sky Mansion can compare to. Among the 1,000 Black Armored Guards, there are 10 Mastery Divine Saint Stage powerhouses, and even those at the peak of the Divine Saint Stage. The commander of the Black Armored Army is even an exemplary Saint Stage powerhouse. Duan Lingtian could not help but feel shocked. However, this force that shocked him was the force under his father's command. It has only been 20 years since my cheapskate father disappeared and reappeared on Cloud Continent. In just 20 years, not only did he make a name for himself in the WCI Subterranean, but he even became the new Mansion Master of the Azure Cloud Mansion. Not only that, but he also led the Azure Cloud Mansion to become a top force in the lower province that's comparable to the Mountain Shade Black Market. Duan Lingtian could not figure out how his cheapskate father managed to achieve this in such a short time. If it was him, he would not have been able to do it. Leave the Crouching Dragon Lake in 10 breaths. Otherwise, die. One of the 10 black armored guards said coldly when he saw Duan Lingtian ignoring them. He was riding on a wild beast when he emerged from the Crouching Dragon Lake. The one who spoke just now was also this person. He was clearly the leader of the dozen or so black armored guards. Duan Lingtian activated his divine eye and instantly probed his cultivation base. It was at the peak of the imminent saint stage. It seems like he's a Decurion. Duan Lingtian speculated inwardly. Decurion, the reason I came to the Azure Cloud Mansion is to see Mansion Master Duan. Duan Lingtian did not reveal his identity and say he was their young Mansion Master. He only said he wanted to see the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Who are you? Why do you want to see our Lord Mansion Master? Chapter 1833. As for the details, I'll have to meet Mansion Master Duan before I can tell you. Duan Lingtian smiled as he spoke to the Decurion. Even before they arrived at the Azure Cloud Mansion's estate, Duan Lingtian was still very cautious. He was not in a hurry to reveal his identity. Moreover, even if he did reveal his identity, he would need others to believe him. Before this, most of the people in the Azure Cloud Mansion did not know their Mansion Master had a son. If he said he was the young Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, the other party would most likely think he was a liar and throw him out. Duan Lingtian, who missed his family dearly, was, naturally, unwilling to create unnecessary trouble. Due to this reason, he was so cautious. If that's the case, I'll send someone to inform the Mansion Master of your arrival. However, you'll have to state your identity when you do so. Who are you? Which force are you from? The Decurion nodded before he asked again. When the Decurion saw Duan Lingtian remained silent for a long time, his expression turned grave immediately. What's wrong? Is it not convenient for you to state your identity? Decurion, I have a keepsake here. You can ask your man to bring it to the Mansion Master of your mansion. If the Mansion Master of your mansion is unwilling to see me, you can send me away. What do you think? As Duan Lingtian spoke, he took out the exquisite jade box that his cheapskate father had given him. Naturally, the exquisite jade box was empty. He had already taken out the item inside. When the Decurion of the Black Armored Army and the other 9 Black Armored Guards saw Duan Lingtian taking out his keepsake, their cold faces could not help but tremble. A person who could take out a keepsake, as long as he was not joking with them, must have a close relationship with the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Such a person was not someone they could afford to offend. Please wait a moment, mister. When the Decurion spoke again, his tone was much more polite. In his opinion, based on this person's behavior, it did not seem like he was joking with them. Moreover, who was it that dared to make a joke out of the Azure Cloud Mansion? After receiving the exquisite jade box with both hands politely, the Decurion carefully passed the jade box to one of his black armored guards. Bring this token to see Lord Mansion Master immediately. Tell him that this is a token brought by a guest from afar, and that the guest wants to see him. Yes, Sir Decurion. The black armored guard who received the jade box accepted the order respectfully. Then, he urged the savage beast under his feet to go deeper into the crouching dragon lake. For a moment, only Duan Lingtian and the 9 black armored guards were left. Duan Lingtian stood where he was and closed his eyes to rest. He quietly waited for the messenger to return. Meanwhile, the Decurion and the other 8 black armored guards stood to the side, not daring to even breathe loudly. Based on the calm expression on this person's face, they could see how mysterious he was. They were even more certain that this person had a close relationship with the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. For this reason, they became even more cautious. In their eyes, their Lord Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion was the person they respected the most. He was also their faith. Someone who had a close relationship with their Lord Mansion Master was not someone they could neglect. On the other hand, the black armored guard brought Duan Lingtian's exquisite jade box to see the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Everything went smoothly. Naturally, he did not see the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Not only that, but he had never seen the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion before. In the Azure Cloud Mansion, only the Azure Cloud Mansion's high-ranking officials had seen their Lord Mansion Master before. Among the 1,000 black armored guards, only 11 of them who were centurions or above were qualified to see their Lord Mansion Master. To the people below him, the Manor Lord was an elusive and elusive existence. For this reason, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion was mysterious and lofty in the eyes of the people below the Azure Cloud Mansion's high-ranking officials. Elder Rong. At the entrance of the central main hall on the floating island, the black armored guard bowed respectfully to an old man. This old man was the right-hand man of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. His position in the Azure Cloud Mansion was only second to the Mansion Master. Even the captain of the Black Armored Army, the Lord Commander, would have to bow respectfully when he saw this old man. Someone wants to see Lord Mansion Master? Elder Rong was Rong Yuan. He looked at the Black Armored Guard and asked with a smile. Everyone in the Azure Cloud Mansion knew that Elder Rong was a kind old man. No matter who he was facing, he would not put on airs. Even so, the Black Armored Guard was still flattered. Elder Rong, a young man, entered the crouching dragon lake today. He happened to be in the area that our team was guarding. For this reason, our Lord Decurion led us to stop him. However, he said he knows Lord Mansion Master. Not only that, but he even took out a token and said he'd show it to Lord Mansion Master so Lord Mansion Master would summon him. As the black armored guard spoke, he took out the exquisite jade box that Duan Lingtian had given him. When Rong Yuan saw this ordinary-looking exquisite jade box, a puzzled expression appeared on his face. After taking the jade box, he studied it again and again, but he did not find anything special about it. Wait here for a moment. I'll bring this jade box to Lord Mansion Master. After informing the black armored guard, Rong Yuan walked into the main hall with the jade box in his hand. The black armored guard stood upright outside and waited quietly. Time continued to pass by quietly. About a quarter of an hour later, Rong Yuan came out with an ugly expression on his face. When the black armored guard saw Rong Yuan's grave expression, his heart jolted as an ominous feeling rose in his heart. Don't tell me that person is really toying with us and the Lord Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Is he not afraid of death? Lord Mansion Master doesn't recognize that lousy jade box. Moreover, that person must be a liar who pretends to be Lord Mansion Master's old friend. Inform your Decurion about this. He should know what to do. After Rong Yuan finished speaking, he flicked his sleeve and left in anger. That fellow. Not only did he toy with us, but he even dared to toy with Lord Mansion Master. Damn it. The black armored guard's expression was extremely grave. When he returned, it was as though he was on steroids as he traveled at full speed. Soon after, he arrived at the edge of the crouching dragon lake. I'm back. When Duan Lingtian heard the commotion, he immediately opened his eyes with a smile on his face. When he thought about how he would be able to see his mother, his fiancée, his child, and his cheapskate father, he was elated. However, when he saw the black-armored guard's grave expression and the anger in his eyes, he could not help but feel his heart jolt again. Something's not right. This doesn't make sense. That exquisite jade box was given to me by my cheapskate father on Cloud Continent. He must have recognized it with just a glance. At the same time, the Decurion also learned about how he had been deceived by the black-armored guard. His expression turned grave immediately. How dare you come to our Azure Cloud Mansion to deceive us? You're seeking death. When the Decurion looked at Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were cold. There was no longer any trace of politeness in his eyes. It was as though he wanted to tear Duan Lingtian into pieces. Deceive? Duan Lingtian's expression turned grave. He had deceived them? What was going on? Decurion, is this a misunderstanding? I'm sure there's no problem with the token I gave you. The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion must recognize it. I'd like to ask you if you're certain you personally handed the jade box I gave you to the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Duan Lingtian asked the black-armored guard who went to report to him as he explained to the Decurion. Hermph, I was the one who personally handed that jade box to Elder Rong, and he passed it to Lord Mansion Master. Elder Rong has already said that Lord Mansion Master doesn't recognize that lousy jade box. You're just a liar who pretends to be Lord Mansion Master. The black-armored guard who went to report to Duan Lingtian snorted coldly. Elder Rong? Duan Lingtian frowned before his expression eased up. That's right. There must be something wrong with Elder Rong. How about this? Bring me to the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. As long as I meet him, the truth will be revealed. What do you think? If there's something wrong with me, there's no need for all of you. Your Mansion Master will personally execute me. There's something wrong with Elder Rong? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the 10 black-armored guards, including the Decurion, looked at Duan Lingtian coldly. Killing intent could be seen in their eyes. In the Azure Cloud Mansion, who did not know that Elder Rong was the Mansion Master spokesperson. However, this person actually dared to say there was something wrong with Elder Rong? Was this something that someone who knew their Mansion Master would say? Kill. As the Decurion shouted coldly, the other 9 black-armored guards who had been waiting for a long time made their move. They were like hungry wolves who had not eaten or drunk for 10 days. They pounced on their prey without any hesitation. 9 black figures charged out in unison. From afar, it looked like a black torrent that swept across the sky. Boom, 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 boom. As the sound of explosions reverberated in the air, the 9 black-armored guards left the wild beasts under their feet one after another and launched all kinds of attacks. The 5-colored energy blended together and swept toward Duan Lingtian in unison. Every attack was aimed at Duan Lingtian's vital points. It was as though all of them wanted to kill Duan Lingtian with just one strike. Duan Lingtian did not expect these black-armored guards would be so barbaric. He had merely voiced out his speculation, but they pounced on him like mad dogs as though they wanted to tear him into pieces. He was rendered speechless. Was that Elder Rong their father? Could he not even say a word? One must admit that this 10-man squad of black-armored guards was quite strong. Apart from the Decurion who did not make a move, the weakest among the 9 black-armored guards was at the intermediate Eminent Saint stage. There were a total of 6 intermediate Eminent Saint stage powerhouses and 3 mastery Eminent Saint stage powerhouses. However, such a combination was not a threat to him at all. Due to this reason, he easily dodged their joint attacks. His movements were as smooth as flowing water. He did not feel any pressure at all. The peak of the Eminent Saint stage. Chapter 1834. One must admit that as a member of the black-armored guards, none of them were afraid of death. Although they knew the person in front of them was much stronger than them, they had no intention of retreating. Instead, they continued to surround him. Even Duan Lingtian could not help but have a hint of respect in his eyes when he saw this. If it was someone else, they would have fled or begged for mercy when they saw how much stronger he was. However, the 9 black armored guards before him still charged forward and surrounded him even though they knew they were no match for him. It was as though they were not afraid of death. This ruthless scene caused the blood in Duan Lingtian's body to boil. It was as though he had returned to the days when he was in the underground world in his past life. The 9 black armored guards had obtained his respect. As expected of the Azure Cloud Mansion's black armored army, they really live up to their reputation. Duan Lingtian could not help but praise them. You're quite strong, sir. However, you've deceived us and even our Lord Mansion Master. In the end, you even suspected Elder Rome. Your crimes are unforgivable. If we let you leave the Azure Cloud Mansion alive today, it'll be because the black armored army is useless. Finally, the Decurion made his move. He charged into the encirclement of the black armored guards and charged toward Duan Lingtian. As a powerhouse at the peak of the eminent saint stage, the Decurion's strength was, naturally, extraordinary. At the instant the Decurion charged toward him, Duan Lingtian was certain the Decurion's strength was much stronger than Zhao Dong, the disciple from the mystical Sky Mansion's Zhao clan whom he had killed earlier. Moreover, the Decurion could even force him to use some of his techniques. So, the Decurion's weapon was a 7-foot-long spear. When it shot out, it was like a dragon coming out of its cave, causing the air to stagnate for a moment. Around the 7-foot-long spear, a vast amount of true origin had formed into a spiraling force. When the spear shot out, it was similar to the impact drill on Earth in Duan Lingtian's past life. It was as though it could pierce through everything. Earth Dragon Drill. At the same time, the Decurion shouted loudly. The energy on the 7-foot-long spear in his hand rose again, and the spiral force became even stronger. A spear shot out, aiming for Duan Lingtian's heart, faster than lightning. Why don't you try taking one of my attacks? As soon as the Decurion shouted, Duan Lingtian also shouted. Immediately afterward, a sword appeared in his hand. It was a sword completely condensed from the sun's true essence. Whoosh! The sword seemed simple, but it was actually a simple move that contained the profundity of the second realm of the Sovereign Heart Sword. It was so fast that it was even faster than the Decurion's 7-foot-long spear. Poochie, poochie, poochie. The sword in Duan Lingtian's hand collided with the tip of the Decurion's 7-foot-long spear accurately. Both of them had infused their weapons with power, and this was the first time they had clashed. This was also a probing exchange. However, the Decurion was slightly inferior after the exchange of blows. This caused the Decurion to immediately activate the true Yuan in his body and pour it into the 7-foot-long spear in his hand. The true Yuan on the 7-foot-long spear instantly skyrocketed. However, when it came to making a last-minute effort, how could the Decurion compare to Duan Lingtian, who had 99 Saint Veins? With just a thought, the vast Sun True Yuan in Duan Lingtian's body immediately surged into the sword in his hand through the 99 Saint Veins. A crisp sword cry rang in the air. Don't say that I'm bullying you. The true Yuan I'm using now is equivalent to the true Yuan you're using. At the same time, Duan Lingtian said nonchalantly. The strength of the true Yuan on the sword in his hand was indeed equivalent to the Decurion's long spear. The Decurion was furious when he heard Duan Lingtian's provocative words. He shook his arm, and the 7-foot-long spear moved forward. However, he did not increase the true Yuan on the long spear. As a member of the Black Armored Army, he was an unyielding man. Since Duan Lingtian had already said so, if he continued to use his true Yuan, it would only make him look inferior. Moreover, he could see that the speed at which Duan Lingtian used his true Yuan was much faster than his. Moreover, judging from Duan Lingtian's calm expression, it was obvious he still had a backup plan. Wong, 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 Wong. The 7-foot-long spear trembled as the spiraling force formed by the true Yuan around it spun at an extremely fast speed. At the very least, the other 9 black armored guards could not see the trajectory of the spiraling force at all. From this, one could see how fast it was spinning. Whoosh! On the other hand, Duan Lingtian still casually pointed his sword at the Decurion. The simple sword move looked like a simple stab to an outsider. At the very least, that was the case in the eyes of the 9 black armored guards. How dare you underestimate the Decurion? You're courting death. You're seeking death. The 9 black armored guards all felt that Duan Lingtian was too careless and would definitely lose. Only the Decurion himself felt threatened by Duan Lingtian's seemingly simple sword move. He felt as if he was being targeted by a sharp aura. At that moment, the Decurion's expression turned solemn. History repeated itself once again. The tip of the sword and the spear collided once again. The true Yuan clashed with each other. If they were only talking about true Yuan, they were indeed evenly matched. However, when the two of them exchanged blows, it was not just a clash of true Yuan. It also contained the profundity of martial arts techniques. The Decurion's earthen dragon drill was derived from the profundity of the second stage of Duan Lingtian's sovereign heart sword. The outcome was beyond the expectations of the 9 black armored guards. Bang! Following a loud bang, the person whom they thought would definitely lose stood motionless in the air. Their Decurion, on the other hand, had been sent flying. His face was pale, and there was a trace of dazzling blood at the corner of his mouth. Sir Decurion. Upon seeing this, horror dawned on the 9 black armored guards. They immediately flew out and stood in front of their Decurion. All of them stared at Duan Lingtian warily, as though they were afraid Duan Lingtian would seize the opportunity to attack them. At the same time, their hearts were filled with shock. His opponent's sword move was clearly the simplest direct thrust. How was it possible for it to crush their Decurion's earthen dragon drill with such force? The spear technique, the earth dragon drill, that their Decurion had performed earlier, was an offensive technique from an earth-rank prominent Saint-grade martial tactic. Not only that, but their Decurion had already cultivated it to the highest stage. Even then, their Decurion was still defeated. You're very strong. However, no one who dares to make fun of the Azure Cloud Mansion will leave this place alive. The Decurion healed his injuries slightly before he looked at Duan Lingtian with a piercing gaze. With a raise of his hand, a jade token rose into the air before it exploded. A sharp and unpleasant sound resonated in the air immediately. Almost at the same time, the surface of the lake in the distance began to ripple. Boom, 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 boom. One after another, silhouettes riding on wild beasts broke out of the water and surrounded Duan Lingtian. The people on the backs of these savage beasts were also black armored guards. Meanwhile, high up in the sky where no one was paying attention to, 2 figures stood behind the clouds, one in front of the other. Their eyes easily pierced through the clouds and looked at the surface of the sea. Lord Mansion Master. Is that the young Mansion Master? The old man standing behind was none other than Rong Yuan, Elder Rong. He was also the one who had instigated the conflict below. Naturally, if one were to get to the bottom of it, he was merely acting on orders. Judging from his figure, he seems to be. However, his face isn't. However, the aura on his body is clearly my son's aura. The person standing in front was none other than the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Ruffeng. This is strange. He didn't disguise himself. Rong Yuan found it strange as well. Whether it was Duan Ruffeng or Rong Yuan, they had never heard of a secret tactic that could conceal one's appearance using one's own strength and not be seen through by divine consciousness. Due to this reason, they did not think about it at all. However, this little fellow's strength is not bad. He can be considered as one of the best among the martial cultivators at the peak of the eminent saint stage. I'm afraid there aren't many people below the divine saint stage who's a match for him, Rong Yuan continued to say. Rong Yuan continued. He was not stingy with his compliments. Elder Rong, bring him to the main hall. He must be my son, Duan Lingtian. Duan Ruffeng said to Rong Yuan before disappearing into the sky. It was as though he had never appeared. But there's no sign of disguise on his face. Rong Yuan smiled wryly. He had seen the portrait of his young mansion master before. This ordinary-looking young man before him was completely different. Why would his Lord Mansion Master say that this was his young mansion master? What Rong Yuan did not know was that Duan Ruffeng was Duan Lingtian's father no matter what. Although they had not known each other for a long time, as a powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he was very sensitive to certain auras. Although Duan Lingtian had changed his face, he was still very confident that this was his son. 3 small teams of black armored soldiers appeared in the sky above the crouching dragon lake. Together with the original small team, there were a total of 40 people. Haha, Fengping, you're actually injured by someone. This is rare. The leader of one of the small teams was also a Decurion. He looked at the Decurion who was injured by Duan Lingtian and laughed. His tone was filled with a hint of gloating. Humph, you can go and try it yourself. Upon hearing this, Fengping's expression turned grave as he snorted coldly. Everyone in the other 3 small teams shifted their attention to Duan Lingtian. A battle was about to break out. Whoosh! As though a gust of wind had blown past, an old figure appeared before everyone's eyes. When the 40 black armored soldiers saw this figure, they bowed and greeted him. Elder Rong. The person who appeared was an old man. He nodded his head nonchalantly before he shifted his attention to Duan Lingtian. You're the one who wants to see our Lord Mansion Master? Old man, did you not pass my jade box to your Mansion Master? Chapter 1835. Old man? When the 40 black armored guards heard Duan Lingtian's way of addressing Rong Yuan and his tone that was close to interrogating him, they felt a chill run down their spines. They shuddered even though it was not cold. This fellow actually addressed Elder Rong as old man. Moreover, he even used such an interrogative tone to speak to Elder Rong. Did he have a death wish? In the Azure Cloud Mansion, everyone knew that Rong Yuan was a kind person. However, he was only kind to his own people. In front of his enemies, Rong Yuan was an Azura. In the Debussy subterranean, Rong Yuan was also known as the Smiling Azura. This fellow, he's dead meat. The 40 black armored guards looked at Duan Lingtian as though they were looking at a dead man. Naturally, I've already passed the jade box to Lord Mansion Master. If you don't believe me, you can ask him yourself when you meet him later. Rong Yuan still could not believe the young man before him was his young Mansion Master. Due to this reason, although he did not fly into a rage because of the other party's rudeness, he did not bow to him because he thought the other party might be his young Mansion Master. He would have to wait until he had confirmed everything. Upon hearing Rong Yuan's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up immediately. Based on this old fellow's words, he could finally meet the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. The 40 black armored guards who were prepared to watch a good show were dumbfounded. Not only did the person whom they thought was going to be in trouble, not only did he not suffer, but he even had a chance to meet Lord Mansion Master. They could not accept the sudden turn of events. When they saw Rong Yuan bringing Duan Lingtian away, the scene fell silent for a moment before it burst into an uproar again. Heavens! What's going on? Who's that guy? Not only was Elder Rong not angry when he addressed Elder Rong as old man, but he even brought him to meet Lord Mansion Master. Even our Lord Decurion has never met Lord Mansion Master before. Don't tell me that fellow has something to do with Lord Mansion Master? The 3 small teams of black armored guards who had just arrived discussed among themselves. Their hearts were filled with confusion and confusion. However, their eyes soon landed on the 10 people in the Hei Army's small team led by Decurion Fengping. Fengping, what's going on? Exactly. King released an emergency rescue signal, and I thought it was an enemy invasion. In the end, that person seems to be Lord Manorhead's guest. If Lord Manorhead pursues this matter, I won't let you off. Francis, who is that young man? Elder Rong seems to be very polite to him. The other Decurions of the other 3 squads asked Francis one after another. Their expressions were not very good. How could it be pretty? Although they did not do anything out of line to that person, when Elder Rong appeared, they happened to be surrounding him and were caught red-handed by him. According to Elder Rong, the other party could even meet their Mansion Master. Could they afford to offend such a person? In fact, when he saw how courteous Elder Rong was to that young man, Francis was also somewhat dumbfounded. Because the reason why he attacked the other party was also because of Elder Rong's instructions. According to Elder Rong's words, that young man was a swindler. However, judging from Elder Rong's attitude earlier, The other party seemed to really be acquainted with their prefecture lord. Are you sure you didn't exaggerate what you said earlier? Soon after, Francis looked at the black armored guard who brought the Duan Lingtian's token and asked in a deep voice, Lord Decurion, even if I had the guts, I wouldn't dare to joke about this matter. The black armored guard who was being stared at by Francis felt wronged. If he could turn back time, he would definitely reject the mission given to him by the Decurion. Whoever was willing to bring that person's token to the mansion master was free to do so. In any case, he would not go. Francis believed the black armored guard's words. After all, he was one of his subordinates, and they had known each other for many years. Due to this reason, Francis felt wronged when faced with the other three Decurion's questions. However, he still told the other three Decurions everything that had happened. That person is here to meet Lord Mansion Master? He even brought a token with him? Elder Rong said Lord Mansion Master doesn't recognize the token. Is that person a swindler? Are you sure Elder Rong said he's a swindler? If he's a swindler, why would Elder Rong personally bring him to meet Lord Mansion Master? The expressions of the three Decurions turned even graver. Since that person brought a token to meet the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, he must have a close relationship with the Mansion Master. How could they surround such a person? At once, they felt chills running down their spines as they broke out in cold sweat. That's the truth. Don't worry, I'm the one who made a move. If anything happens, I, Francis, will bear all the consequences. Francis said to the other three Decurions, You'll bear all the consequences? Can you bear all the consequences? How unlucky. The Decurion who had mocked Francis as soon as he appeared sneered before he left with his men. The other two Decurions looked at Francis deeply before they left with their men as well. At this moment, only the Decurion, Francis, and the small team of black armored guards were left at the scene. Lord Decurion, I really didn't exaggerate or lie. I'm willing to swear on the lightning penalty oath. The black armored guard who brought Duan Lingtian's token to the mansion master immediately swore on the lightning penalty oath when he saw Francis' expression turning grave. Boom, boom, boom. 9 claps of thunder reverberated in the air as the lightning penalty oath was fulfilled. The black armored guard used his oath to prove that he was not lying. What are you doing? Francis' expression changed as he glared at the black armored guard who swore on the lightning penalty oath. You're my man. How can I not trust you? You swore on the lightning penalty oath in front of me. You're slapping me in the face. Do you understand? Lord Decurion. The black armored guard had a guilty expression on his face. Enough. All of you don't have to think too much about this matter. We didn't do anything wrong, so we're not afraid of being punished, Francis said as he waved his hand. Following that, he brought the group of people back to the Crouching Dragon Lake. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian followed behind Rongyuan as they made their way to the depths of the Crouching Dragon Lake. There were many vast islands in the depths of the Crouching Dragon Lake. The islands were shrouded in fog. If one was not close enough, one would not be able to see what was behind the fog. However, Rongyuan did not bring Duan Lingtian to any of the islands in front of him. After Rongyuan brought Duan Lingtian to the sky above the islands, the ground beneath his feet trembled slightly as he rose up into the sky like a rocket. Duan Lingtian followed suit and rose up into the sky as well. After passing through the clouds, he finally saw a huge island hovering in the sky. The island hovering in the sky was shrouded in clouds and mist. It was like a jade palace in a celestial paradise. It was visually stunning. Compared to the main mansion of the mystical sky mansion, this island was undoubtedly much bigger. Elder Rong. Along the way, Duan Lingtian could see many black armored guards hiding in the dark. They bowed respectfully at Rongyuan, who was leading the way. Some of the black armored guards had a hint of surprise and confusion in their eyes when they looked at him. This old man seems to have quite a high position in the Azure Cloud Mansion. When Duan Lingtian saw this, he thought to himself, no wonder those black armored guards looked at me as though they were looking at a dead person when I called him old man and questioned him. However, what does he mean by that? He said I'm a liar and wants to bring me to see the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Although Duan Lingtian was 100% certain the current mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion was his cheapskate father, He could not help but feel puzzled. Do you think there's any disguising technique in this world that can hide from the detection of one's divine consciousness? Rong Yuan finally spoke when they arrived at the floating island. He did not turn around. It was as though he was talking to the air or to Duan Lingtian. There's nothing too strange in this world, Duan Lingtian replied indifferently. His tone was calm, completely ignoring Rong Yuan's probing. Rong Yuan no longer said anything as he brought Duan Lingtian deeper into the floating island. In the end, they arrived at the central area of the floating island. This area was even more heavily guarded. Black armored guards could be seen patrolling everywhere. Soon after, a standalone palace appeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes. This palace was located in the central area of the floating island. It occupied a vast area. From afar, it looked as though a gigantic beast was crouching there. This was the central main hall of the Azure Cloud Mansion's estate. The floating island that Duan Lingtian was currently on was the main mansion of the Azure Cloud Mansion. The door of the central main hall was tightly shut. After Rong Yuan brought Duan Lingtian to the entrance, he said respectfully, "Lord Mansion Master, I've brought him here." Upon hearing Rong Yuan's words, Duan Lingtian's breathing quickened immediately. He stared at the door of the central main hall intently. He couldn't wait to kick the door open and see what kind of people were inside. At the same time, he was also looking forward to hearing the voice that would come from inside. Although he had not spent a long time with his cheapskate father, he still remembered his cheapskate father's voice. "Come in." At the same time, a majestic voice resonated from inside. Although the voice sounded majestic, Duan Lingtian could tell it was his cheapskate father, Duan Rufeng's voice. At this moment, he finally felt relieved. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion was indeed his cheapskate father. No matter how certain he was that his cheapskate father was the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, it was not as convincing as hearing this voice. Rumble. As the voice resonated from inside, the thick and heavy doors of the central main hall slowly opened to both sides, revealing everything inside to Duan Lingtian. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian saw 3 people standing inside. The person standing in the middle was none other than his cheapskate father, Duan Rufeng. At this moment, Duan Rufeng was looking at him with a smile on his face. Duan Rufeng was hugging a cute little boy in his arms. The little boy was looking at him with his big watery eyes. Chapter 1836. When he saw the 2 women standing next to Duan Rufeng, Duan Lingtian's eyes widened, and his body began to tremble violently from the excitement. Li Ro, his mother. Li Fei, his fiancée. These 2 women were 2 of the most important women in his life. However, Duan Lingtian soon discovered that no matter if it was his mother, Li Ro, or his fiancée, Li Fei, their eyes were filled with hesitation when they looked at him. They did not seem to be overjoyed at reuniting with him after such a long time. "I almost forgot. I haven't changed back to my original appearance." At the same time, Duan Lingtian finally remembered that he had changed his appearance and was not his original appearance. It was no wonder that his mother and fiancée were hesitating. Whoosh! Without any hesitation, Duan Lingtian moved. In the next moment, it was as though he had transformed into a gust of wind that blew in front of Duan Rufeng and the others. When Duan Lingtian regained his footing, the muscles on his face began to tremble. It was only when he had completely calmed down that he regained his original appearance. "Mother." After regaining his original appearance, Duan Lingtian knelt in front of Li Ro with a thud sound. He had a guilty expression on his face. As a son, not only was he unable to be by his parents' side, but he had also disappeared for many years. He was unfilial. Of course, it was only in front of his mother, Li Ro, that he would feel guilty. This was because Li Ro had sacrificed too much for him. This was something that his cheap father, Duan Rufeng, could not compare to. Tea-honor, my tea-honor. Mother isn't dreaming, right? When she saw Duan Lingtian revealing his true appearance, the hesitation in Li Ro's eyes disappeared and was replaced with excitement. At the same time, she helped Duan Lingtian up and hugged Duan Lingtian tightly with both hands. She did not let go for a long time. It was as if she was deeply afraid that if she let go, her son would leave her again. Unknowingly, 2 lines of tears fell from Li Ro's face. Those were tears of excitement. "Mother, you're not dreaming. It's me." Duan Lingtian's eyes were also wet. He hugged his mother tightly, and his heart was unprecedentedly calm. His mother's embrace was like a harbor, calming his heart in an instant. "Scoundrel," a familiar and pleasant voice sounded, causing Duan Lingtian to regain his senses. Unknowingly, a person had appeared beside him. It was his fiancée, Li Fei. Although Li Ro was reluctant to let go of her son, she knew that the rest of the time should be given to the young couple. Therefore, she simply let go of Duan Lingtian and signaled to Duan Rufeng with her eyes, letting Duan Rufeng carry the little boy and walk out of the hall with her. When Elder Rong saw this, he naturally followed them out. The central hall suddenly became Duan Lingtian and Li Fei's two-person world. Outside the hall, the little boy in Duan Rufeng's arms blinked his big eyes as he looked at Li Ro and asked, "Grandmother, is he the amazing father that mother always tells me about?" "That's right, Nianer. He's your father. When he comes out later, remember to call him father, okay?" Li Ro said with a smile as she reached out and patted the little boy's little head. The little boy nodded. "Okay, I'll listen to you, grandmother." That boy, he didn't even greet me, his father, and he's already in a hurry to date Fei. What an unfilial son. Duan Rufeng scolded with a smile. There was no lack of jealousy in his tone. "Isn't it because you left for so many years? Otherwise, why would Tian treat you like this?" Li Ro said snappily. When Duan Rufeng heard this, he immediately shut his mouth. This was because he knew that if he continued to speak, he would be in the wrong. He also knew that he was in the wrong. After all, he had left for so many years, and there was no news of him at all. In fact, he was just casually saying that earlier. He was not really unhappy because of this. Lord Mansion Master, the young Mansion Master's disguise technique is really brilliant. When Rong Yuan saw that Duan Rufeng and his wife had stopped speaking, his tone was filled with emotion. "Yes, even my divine consciousness can't detect that he's in disguise. I wonder where he learned this disguise technique from. It's actually so brilliant." Duan Rufeng deeply agreed with Rong Yuan's words. No matter what, he was also a great evil in the Debussy subterranean. However, he had never seen or heard of Duan Lingtian's disguise technique before. It seems like Tian has indeed had a fortuitous encounter all these years. Young Mansion Master is so young, but he already has a cultivation base at the peak of the eminent saint stage. How amazing! Rong Yuan sighed emotionally. The peak of the eminent saint stage? Upon hearing Rong Yuan's words, Duan Rufeng shook his head. His expression turned solemn as though he had a lot on his mind. If he did not remember wrongly, the 5-year agreement he made with the Dragon Clan would be up in 10 months. At that time, his son would have to fight with the dragon's 5-clawed golden dragon. If he won, he would have the opportunity to enter the dragon's dragon cleansing pool. He had made these arrangements according to the Oracle Man's instructions. However, it was only 10 months away from the 5-year pact, and his son was only at the peak of the eminent saint stage. It would be impossible for him to defeat Diju, the 5-clawed golden dragon, in 10 months. Even if Diju did not make any progress in the past 5 years, he was still at the peak of the divine saint stage. Would a powerhouse at the peak of the eminent saint stage fight with a powerhouse at the peak of the divine saint stage in 10 months? Moreover, after 5 years, it was very likely that Diju had made a breakthrough to the exemplary saint stage. Is it possible for Tian to win? If this was before he reunited with his son, Duan Lingtian, Duan Rufeng would not have such doubts due to his trust in the Oracle Man. However, now that he had reunited with his son and learned that his son was only at the peak of the eminent saint stage, he could not help but have such doubts in his mind. In the main hall, Duan Lingtian and Li Fei were hugging each other. Neither of them spoke as they hugged each other quietly. At this moment, both of them seemed to have merged into one, and there was no longer any distinction between them. As he hugged Li Fei, Duan Lingtian wished this moment would last forever. There were no worries and no worries. Just like that, he quietly hugged the person he loved until the end of time, until the seas dried up and the rocks crumbled. However, he knew this was destined to be an extravagant wish. He still had many things that he had to do. On the other hand, Li Fei hugged Duan Lingtian. Her feelings were similar to Duan Lingtian's. How she wished she could hug her man like this forever. She did not want to think about anything and just hugged him quietly until the end of time. Finally, after about half an hour, Duan Lingtian spoke first. Little Fei, is the boy father is carrying our child? Yes. Li Fei nodded with a smile. He's called Nian Tian. He's our son. Nian Tian? Upon hearing his son's name, Duan Lingtian's heart could not help but tremble. At the same time, he hugged Li Fei even tighter. Naturally, he knew what his son's name meant. If Sister Kerr and her child are safe, her child must be as old as Nian. I wonder if it's a boy or a girl. Li Fei's voice trembled slightly when she mentioned Kerr. She had long regarded that kind-hearted woman as her sister. They'll definitely be safe. They'll definitely be safe. Duan Lingtian's eyes gleamed as he said with certainty. He did not want anything to happen to his woman and his child. After coming to the Azure Cloud Mansion and reuniting with his family, he had fulfilled one of his wishes in the lower province. It was time for him to go to the upper province to look for Kerr. After cuddling with Li Fei for a while, Li Fei slowly pushed Duan Lingtian away. Scoundrel! Shouldn't you go and greet father? I know you're still holding a grudge over the fact that father left you and your son for so many years. However, he's still your father after all. Moreover, he's been very good to Nian all these years. He's so good that even I, as his mother, feel ashamed of myself. I know. He must be trying to make it up to you. That's why he gave Nian the love and care that he couldn't give you in time back then. Li Fei said softly. She was a smart woman. She knew that she could only give advice on these matters and not make decisions for her man. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded before he left the main hall with Li Fei. Father, I've troubled little Fei and Nian during this period of time. Duan Lingtian said as he looked at Duan Rufeng. Tian remember that I'm your father. Your matters are nothing to me. Moreover, Fei is my daughter-in-law, and Nian is my grandson. It's only right for me to take care of them. Duan Rufeng said as he shook his head. However, I really didn't expect father to be the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Duan Lingtian still could not accept this. It's quite a coincidence. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you about it later. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to you that I'm able to become the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Duan Rufeng said as he looked at Duan Lingtian deeply. Me? Duan Lingtian was puzzled. He did not know what his father meant. There's no need to rush. I'll tell you about it later. Duan Rufeng shook his head before he looked at the little boy in his arms and said with a smile, Nian have you forgotten what grandmother told you earlier? Duan Lingtian looked at Duan Lingtian with his big watery eyes. He was not afraid of strangers at all. Instead, he studied Duan Lingtian from head to toe before he finally said, You're my father? The amazing father that mother mentioned? Amazing father? Upon hearing Duan Yin Tian's words, everyone including Duan Ling Tian laughed. Duan Ling Tian carried Duan Yin Tian and said with a smile, That's right. I'm your amazing father. You're called Nian right? My name is Duan Yin Tian. Nian is just my nickname. Duan Yin Tian looked at Duan Ling Tian with a solemn expression as he corrected him. His serious expression made Duan Ling Tian laugh. He felt warm in his heart. It was a wonderful feeling. I, Duan Ling Tian, have a son as well. Chapter 1837. In the next few days, apart from spending some time with his mother, Li Ro, every morning, Duan Ling Tian spent the rest of his time with his wife and son. With Duan Ling Tian in his arms and Li Fei by his side, sometimes, Duan Ling Tian felt he was the happiest person in the world. Naturally, it would be even better if Kerr and their child were here as well. Currently, I've already found father, mother, and little Fei. The only regret I have in the WCI subterranean is that I didn't manage to find Tian Wu. Logically speaking, if Tian Wu is still in the lower province and is not in closed-door cultivation, she should have heard about the genius martial cultivator, Ling Tian, appearing in the mystical sky mansion. At the very least, she should have come to the mystical sky mansion to confirm if it's me or not. However, there's still no news from her. Although Duan Lingtian had already decided to go to the upper province to look for Kerr and their child, he still could not let go of Feng Tianwu. He discovered that although he and Tianwu were not husband and wife yet, and there was no love between them, the concern he had for Tianwu was not inferior to the concern he had for Kerr. In the past, he was only touched by Tianwu's sacrifice for him. However, at this moment, it had all turned into love. It's time to look for father and tell him. When Duan Lingtian remembered Tianwu might still be in the lower province, he spent some time with his wife and son before he went to look for his father, Duan Rufeng. Father, I'd like to ask you to help me look for someone. Duan Lingtian did not beat around the bush when he saw Duan Rufeng. Oh, who is it? Duan Rufeng asked. Feng Tianwu. Duan Lingtian replied. Tianwu? I've heard Feier mention that girl before. She's a good girl who's loyal and affectionate. Moreover, she didn't hesitate to sacrifice her life for you. However, as far as I know, the two of you were separated in the mortal continent. Could it be that you still haven't found her until now? Duan Rufeng had heard Li Fei mention Feng Tianwu before, so when he heard this name, he immediately reacted. I found her in the 6th-rate Saint Nation, Windfall Nation, in the Debussy subterranean. However, after the Devil Seal tablet was exposed, I left Windfall Nation, and because she was worried about my safety, she followed me and came looking for me. At this point, Duan Lingtian's expression was heavy. After that, I made a trip back to the Windfall Nation, but she did not return to the Windfall Nation. Even until now, I still don't have any news about her. Duan Lingtian said with a heavy heart. What an infatuated girl, Duan Rufeng sighed. At the same time, he looked at Duan Lingtian solemnly and said, Tianer, there are things you should and shouldn't do in this world. This Feng girl is so devoted to you, so you must not let her down. In this world where the strong are revered and the weak are prey to the strong, it's not easy to meet someone who's willing to sacrifice so much for you. Father, I understand. Duan Lingtian nodded. Since the day he decided to accept Feng Tianwu, he had already decided to have a happy ending with Feng Tianwu. He would never let her down in this life. All right, draw a portrait of Feng girl. I'll pass down the order and ask all the Azure Cloud Mansion's bases to search for her. Duan Rufeng said again. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian immediately drew a portrait of Feng Tianwu. His understanding of Feng Tianwu was in no way inferior to his understanding of Kerr and Li Fei. Due to this reason, not only did the portrait of Feng Tianwu look exactly the same, but even the expression between her brows and the aura she exuded was no different from the real person. Duan Rufeng could not help but shake his head and sigh as he looked at the portrait in his hand. I really don't know where you get your charm from. Such an outstanding woman is actually so devoted to you that she's even willing to give up her life for you. You're much better than your father in this regard. When he heard the first half of Duan Rufeng's words, Duan Lingtian did not think much of it. However, when he heard the second half of his father's sentence, he could hear a hint of jealousy in his father's voice. He could not help but feel amused. Father, don't tell me you're looking for another confidant? Do you want me to tell Mother so she can help you look for one? Duan Lingtian chuckled as he asked, Are you looking for a beating? When he heard Duan Lingtian's words, Duan Rufeng's expression changed slightly. He then glared at Duan Lingtian. After a while, he coughed lightly. I was just kidding. There's no need to tell your mother about this. What do you mean there's no need to tell me? Tianer, what's the matter? Just as Duan Rufeng's words left his mouth, Li Ro came in without him noticing. As soon as she entered the room, she heard Duan Rufeng's last sentence. She immediately looked at Duan Lingtian and asked. When Duan Lingtian saw his cheapskate father looking at him nervously, he found it funny. However, he did not expose him. Mother, it's nothing. I just asked father to help me look for Tianwu. He felt that there was no need to tell you about this so you wouldn't worry. Why can't you tell me about this? I also like that girl, Tianwu. It's rare to see such a loyal girl nowadays. Li Ro had heard about Feng Tianwu from Li Fei a long time ago. She had also asked Duan Lingtian about it recently. She also liked Feng Tianwu very much. In this world, the men she cared about the most were her husband, Duan Rufeng, and her son, Duan Lingtian. She was also willing to sacrifice her life for her husband and son. For this reason, she liked the woman who was also willing to sacrifice herself for her son from the bottom of her heart. This is Tian Wu. Soon after, Li Ro also saw the portrait in Duan Rufing's hand. Her eyes were instantly attracted by the woman in the portrait. After a long while, she could not help but praise, "What a devastatingly beautiful woman. She's so beautiful. If she gives birth to a granddaughter for me, I'm sure she'll also be a devastatingly beautiful woman when she grows up." After having a grandson, Li Ro also wanted a granddaughter very much. Although she knew Kerr was also pregnant with her son's child, she was not sure if it was a grandson or a granddaughter. Upon hearing Li Ro's words, Duan Lingtian felt a little awkward. They had not even found her yet. However, since the old lady was happy, he did not say anything. "Tian, you asked your father to help you look for Tian Wu. Are you planning to go to the upper province?" Li Ro asked as she looked at Duan Lingtian with a hint of reluctance in her eyes. "Yes." Duan Lingtian nodded. "However, I'll probably stay in the lower province for a while. I'll only go to the upper province after I've made a breakthrough in my cultivation base." Before he went to the upper province, he would have to temper the golden crow's wings to the second form and break through to the early eminent saint stage. At that time, not only would his strength be comparable to an early divine saint stage powerhouse, but he would also be able to officially cultivate and master all kinds of divine abilities. Apart from the golden crow's wings, he also had 3 other divine abilities with extraordinary power. They were the elementary devouring tactic, the otherworldly celestial, and the 6 harmonies golden body. Offensive divine ability, defensive divine ability, movement divine ability, and assistive divine ability. He had everything. Naturally, the defensive divine ability, the 6 harmonies golden body, was a medium-grade divine ability. I'll just make do with it for now. If I can find a more advanced defensive divine ability in the future, I'll change it. If other people heard the words in Duan Lingtian's heart, they would be so angry that they would throw up 3 liters of blood. Other people would be overjoyed for a long time if they managed to obtain a medium-grade divine ability. However, Duan Lingtian was different. He had to make do with the medium-grade divine ability and was ready to change it at any time. Although Duan Lingtian said so, Li Ro could feel that her son would not be staying in the lower province for long. The reluctance in her eyes intensified. If it was possible, she wished that her son could stay by her side. However, she knew that was destined to be an extravagant wish. Her son, a 7-foot-tall man, had his own responsibilities and things that he had to do. "Rower, you can leave first. I have something to say to Tian in private," Duan Ruffing said as he looked at Li Ro. Upon hearing her husband's words, Li Ro knew what her husband was going to say to her son was something she did not want to hear. Due to this reason, she turned around and left directly. She knew that her son was going to take a risk again. This was the only reason why her husband would ask her to leave temporarily. It was because he did not want her to worry. "Father, what do you have to say that even mother can't listen to?" Duan Lingtian frowned. "What your mother hates the most is for you to take a risk. What I'm going to say next is something that will make you take a risk." Duan Ruffing sighed. "What is it?" Duan Lingtian was puzzled. "Do you still remember the 5-clawed golden dragon that went to the half-moon island that you occupied and massacred and destroyed your Lingtian sect?" Duan Ruffing asked. "Did you?" Upon hearing Duan Ruffing's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed. Waves of killing intent could not help but emanate from his body. Although it had been a long time since that incident, he still could not let go of that incident. So many people from his Lingtian sect had died in Diju's hands. He had always remembered this enmity in his heart, and he had never forgotten it. Moreover, many times in the middle of the night, he would dream of many familiar faces from the past asking him to kill Diju to avenge them. "That's right. It's that Diju." Duan Ruffing nodded. Then, he told Duan Lingtian about how he had gone to the dragon sect and made the 5-year pact with the dragons. The 5-year pact will be up in 10 months. At that time, you'll have to fight with Diju for the chance to enter the dragon cleansing pool. Dragon cleansing pool? Duan Lingtian's eyes gleamed. This was his first time hearing about the dragon cleansing pool. The Dragon Cleansing Pool is the holy land of the dragons in the lower province. It opens once every 5,000 years. It contains the heaven and earth essence that has been nurtured by the Dragon Cleansing Pool for 5,000 years. Any young dragon who enters it will be able to obtain a monstrous improvement. Chapter 1838. The dragons were one of the quasi-third-rate forces in the Debussy subterranean. Duan Lingtian had learned about this when he was still in the mystical sky mansion. At the same time, he also knew that Diju, the five-clawed golden dragon who annihilated his Ling Tian sect, was the successor of the dragon's clan leader. Currently, there were only two five-clawed golden dragons. One of them was the current clan leader of the dragons, while the other one was Diju. Diju was also widely acknowledged as the successor of the dragon's clan leader. When Duan Lingtian learned about this, he also knew that if he wanted to avenge the high-ranking officials and disciples of Ling Tian's sect who had died, he would have to face the entire dragons. This was because Diju was a five-clawed golden dragon. All the dragons would risk their lives to protect him. At that time, Duan Lingtian knew he would have to wait for some time before he could avenge the high-ranking officials and disciples of Ling Tian's sect. At the very least, he would have to raise his strength to the point where he could fight the entire dragons. 5-year pact, the Dragon Cleansing Pool, Diju. Currently, Duan Lingtian had learned from his father that his father had made a 5-year pact with the dragons for him. As long as he could defeat Diju 10 months later, he would be able to enter the dragon's Dragon Cleansing Pool. As the Saint Land of the Dragons, the Dragon Cleansing Pool was also an amazing place. At the very least, it was not something the mystical Sky Mansion's Spirit Pool could compare to. After all, the few Spirit Pools in the mystical Sky Mansion would open once in a while. The Dragon Cleansing Pool, on the other hand, would only open once every 5,000 years. What kind of concept was 5,000 years? 5,000 years was equivalent to an ordinary person's lifespan of 50 lifetimes. Based on the fact that the Dragon Cleansing Pool would be passed down every 30 years, it could even pass down 10,000 generations. The Dragon Cleansing Pool had existed for 5,000 years and gathered the heaven and earth spirit energy to help the young dragons soar. Father, do you mean if the current clan leader of the dragons had entered the Dragon Cleansing Pool, the status of the dragons in the lower province would be on par with the Azure Cloud Mansion and the Mountain Shade Black Market? Is the Dragon Cleansing Pool really that miraculous? Hearing Duan Rufing's words, Duan Lingtian was greatly surprised. It's that magical. Duan Rufeng nodded affirmatively. You should know that before this generation of dragons ascended to the position of clan leader, the dragons at that time were in no way inferior to the Mountain Shade Black Market in terms of strength, even though the dragons were in seclusion. At that time, even the Mountain Shade Black Market did not dare to provoke the dragons. As for now, whether it's the Mountain Shade Black Market or our Azure Cloud Mansion, it's not impossible for us to annihilate the dragons even though it'll take a lot of effort. Naturally, unless there's some irreconcilable enmity between us, we won't really annihilate the dragons. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, not only are there dragons in the lower province, but there are also dragons in the upper province as well. The dragons in the upper province are the truly terrifying existences. If we annihilate the dragons in the lower province, the dragons in the upper province will definitely know about it. At that time, it'll be difficult for us to escape death as well. Duan Rufeng continued. After saying so much, there were only 2 points that he wanted to express. First, the Dragon Cleansing Pool was not simple. It could affect the rise and fall of the dragons in the lower province. Second, the dragons in the lower province had an extraordinary background. The dragons in the upper province were their backers. How powerful are the dragons in the upper province? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. I don't know exactly how powerful they are. However, I heard from the watcher in charge of the lower province that if it's not necessary, even the 3 great sects in the upper province wouldn't recklessly offend the dragons in the upper province. Duan Rufeng said in one breath. A hint of dread could be seen in his eyes. So powerful? Duan Lingtian was shocked. Naturally, he knew what the 3 great sects in the upper province meant. According to the information he currently possessed, The three great sects were the three greatest forces in the Tao martial Saintland before it was divided into the Upper Province and the Lower Province. They were the top forces in the Tao martial Saintland. After the Tao martial Saintland was divided into two, the powerful forces led by the three great sects went to the Upper Province. In the Upper Province, not only did the three great sects successfully pass down their legacy, but they even continued to write the legends of the past and became the three most powerful forces in the Upper Province. The reason Duan Lingtian knew so much about the three great sects was because he wanted to know more about them. His fiancée, Kerr, was taken away by one of the three great sects, the Zoroastrianism. If Diju, the five-clawed golden dragon, obtains the opportunity to enter the dragon cleansing pool, he'll definitely be able to lead the dragons to a new era when he grows stronger in the future. At that time, even our Azure Cloud Mansion and the Mountain Shade Black Market won't be able to suppress him. Duan Ruffing said solemnly, I think, whether it's to avenge the high-ranking officials and disciples of the Ling Tian sect, or for the benefits of the dragon cleansing pool, I'm sure you don't want Diju to enter the dragon cleansing pool. Duan Ruffing said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Indeed, he did not want Diju to enter the dragon cleansing pool from the bottom of his heart. Father, according to what you said earlier, those who entered the dragon cleansing pool in the past were all young dragons. Is there a precedent of humans entering the dragon cleansing pool? Duan Lingtian asked immediately when he suddenly thought of this. As far as I know, there's no precedent of humans entering the dragon cleansing pool. Naturally, what I know is only from a period of time ago. I don't know if humans have entered the dragon cleansing pool before that as well. Duan Ruffing replied. Then, does this mean nobody can be sure if humans will be able to obtain the same benefits as young dragons if they enter the dragon cleansing pool? Duan Lingtian asked again. That's right. This time, Duan Ruffing hesitated for a moment before he nodded in the end. However, regardless of whether humans will be able to obtain any benefits from entering the dragon cleansing pool, if you're able to snatch the opportunity to enter the dragon cleansing pool, it'll be equivalent to cutting off the five-clawed golden dragon, Diju's path of advancement. All in all, if you're able to defeat Diju in this 5-year pact and obtain the opportunity to enter the dragon cleansing pool, regardless of whether you'll be able to obtain any benefits from it or not, it'll still be beneficial to you. Duan Ruffing said. Indeed. Duan Lingtian nodded and smiled faintly. It seems like there's no way I can avoid this 5-year pact. However, Father, how did you come up with this 5-year pact? Do you have so much confidence in me? Duan Lingtian changed the topic and looked at Duan Ruffing curiously. Of course. Don't you know whose son you are? Although Duan Ruffing felt a little guilty, he was still very stubborn. To be honest, let alone the past, even now, he still did not have any confidence in his son. Currently, there were only 10 months left until the 5-year pact, but his son's cultivation base was still at the peak of the eminent saint stage. Although it was rare for his son to have such a cultivation base at his age, he was still lacking compared to Diju. In fact, when he had made the 5-year pact with the dragons, Diju was already at the peak of the divine saint stage. After 5 years, he might have already broken through to the exemplary saint stage. Right now, I can only hope that Senior Prophet isn't speaking without thinking. After all, he's the one who asked me to bring up this 5-year pact to the dragons. However, is Senior Prophet so confident in Tian that he's not worried he's not a match for Diju at all? Naturally, these were the words that Duan Ruffing thought to himself. Due to the fact that the Oracle Man had instructed him beforehand, he did not mention the matter about the Oracle Man to Duan Lingtian. Then, what's Diju's cultivation base? Although Duan Lingtian had interacted with Diju before, due to his low cultivation base, he could not tell what Diju's cultivation base was at all. However, he knew Diju's cultivation base was definitely not low. At the very least, it was definitely not below the divine saint stage. When I made the 5-year pact with the dragons, he was at the peak of the divine saint stage. Duan Ruffing replied. Back then? The peak of the divine saint stage? Upon hearing Duan Ruffing's words, the corner of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched violently. Although he had already guessed Diju's cultivation base was not below the divine saint stage, he did not expect it to be at the peak of the divine saint stage. A powerhouse at the peak of the divine saint stage would be considered a top powerhouse in any quasi-third-rate force. I can't believe Diju, who I tricked back then, actually has such a terrifying cultivation base. When Duan Lingtian recalled how he had tricked Diju into entering the Seven Treasures' exquisite pagoda and seized the opportunity to escape, he could not help but feel a lingering fear in his heart. As it turned out, Diju was actually a powerhouse at the peak of the divine saint stage. Since Diju's cultivation base is at the peak of the divine saint stage, then how high is the cultivation base of that Chimei who took her away? Someone who could make Diju afraid must be even more powerful than him. Exemplary saint stage? The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he could not help but gasp inwardly. That Chimei claimed to be Ku'er's older sister, which meant that she was about the same age as Ku'er. Her cultivation base had already entered the exemplary saint stage at such a young age? Are all the people from the upper provinces Zoroastrianism so terrifying? Duan Lingtian did not know when he discovered his heart was beating so fast. He was completely shocked by Chimei's innate talent. Compared to Chimei, even the best young geniuses in the lower province were nothing but trash. Chimei, a young disciple from the Zoroastrianism, has such a terrifying strength. How terrifying are the high-ranking officials in the Zoroastrianism? The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, his heart sank. The reason he wanted to go to the upper province was to rescue his wife and child so that they could escape from the evil clutches of Zoroastrianism. At this moment, he finally realized how powerful Zoroastrianism was. It had completely exceeded his imagination. At this moment, the pressure Duan Lingtian felt was unprecedentedly great. Tian, if you don't have the confidence, you don't have to fulfill the 5-year promise. When Duan Rufeng saw the grave expression on Duan Lingtian's face, he thought he was shocked after hearing about Diju's cultivation base. Chapter 1839. After all, Diju, the 5-clawed golden dragon, had lived for many years, but how old was his son? When Duan Rufeng discovered Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was only at the peak of the eminent saint stage, he had already thought of persuading Duan Lingtian not to fulfill the 5-year promise. This was because the disparity between Duan Lingtian and Diju's cultivation base was too big. When he mentioned the 5-year promise to Duan Lingtian earlier, Duan Rufeng was merely following the oracle man's instructions. If his son did not want to fulfill the 5-year promise, he would not force him at all. Not only that, but deep in his heart, he did not want his son to fulfill the 5-year promise. This was because if his son fought with Diju and Diju had already broken through to the exemplary saint stage, he would not be able to guarantee his son's safety even if he was by his side. If something happened to his son, let alone his wife who would blame him, he would not be able to forgive himself. Father, it's not that I don't want to fulfill the 5-year promise. Upon hearing Duan Rufeng's words, Duan Lingtian regained his senses. He knew his father had misunderstood him, so he quickly said, I was just thinking about something else earlier. As for the 5-year promise, I'll fulfill it. Put aside the fact that Diju is at the peak of the divine saint stage. Even if he has broken through to the exemplary saint stage, I'll still fulfill it. When Duan Lingtian reached the end of his sentence, his eyes shone with determination. But you're only at the peak of the eminent saint stage now. Duan Rufeng shook his head. With only 10 months, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult for you to raise your cultivation base to the point where you can fight with Diju, let alone defeat him. Father, weren't you very confident in me earlier? Why did you suddenly change? Duan Lingtian couldn't help but be slightly bewildered when he saw Duan Rufeng's attitude suddenly take a 180-degree turn. He felt that his father's change was too quick, and it caused him to be slightly unaccustomed to it. When Duan Rufeng heard this, he naturally felt a little awkward. He had confidence in Duan Lingtian because he trusted the oracle man. However, after seeing the ugly expression on Duan Lingtian's face, his trust in the oracle man was shaken again. That was why his attitude changed so quickly. Tianer, are you really confident? Duan Rufeng asked with a serious face. This is not a joke. If we are not careful, we may be doomed eternally. Don't worry, father. Duan Lingtian gave Duan Rufeng a reassuring look. exuding a strong sense of confidence. 10 months later, he had already tempered the golden crow's wings to the second form, and his cultivation base had successfully broken through to the early eminent saint stage. Moreover, with the help of the third level of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, he had a chance to break through to the intermediate eminent saint stage. Once he entered the intermediate eminent saint stage, his strength would be comparable to an intermediate divine saint stage powerhouse. At the very least, the sun true origin in his body would not be any weaker than the energy in an intermediate divine saint stage powerhouse's body. Apart from that, he could also comprehend the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, during this period of time. He had witnessed the power of the elementary devouring tactic with his own eyes. He still remembered the last trial in the divine ability relic where he obtained the elementary devouring tactic. The old man's cultivation base was maintained at the early refined saint stage. With the help of the elementary devouring tactic, his strength was comparable to the peak of the refined saint stage. Although it did not last long, it was enough. If I can comprehend the elementary devouring tactic, even if I'm only at the early eminent saint stage and my strength is only comparable to an early divine saint stage powerhouse after 10 months, I'll be able to display the strength at the peak of the divine saint stage for a short period of time with the help of the elementary devouring tactic. If I can break through to the intermediate eminent saint stage in 10 months, I might be able to fight Diju even if he has broken through to the early exemplary saint stage with the help of the elementary devouring tactic. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he was filled with confidence. Apart from that, I still have the divine ability, the golden crow's wings. As long as I break through to the early eminent saint stage, I'll be able to master the golden crow's wings. With the second form of the golden crow's wings and the elementary devouring tactic, I might be able to fight Diju even if I'm only at the early eminent saint stage. Moreover, even without the divine ability, Duan Lingtian was not afraid of Diju at all. The biggest reliance he had was the Celestial Sword Supreme Treasure, the Jasper Celestial Sword. He knew very well how powerful the Jasper Celestial Sword was. Putting aside the distant incidents, just recently, he had used the Jasper Celestial Sword to block the full force attack of a Mastery Divine Saint Stage Devil Cultivator. Although he had nearly exhausted all of the Sun True Origin in his body, he only had about 60% of the Sun True Origin left in his body at the time. Before that, when he used the Demon Sealing Tombstone, it greedily absorbed a portion of the Sun True Origin in his body. The activation of the Devil Seal Tablet required the support of the True Origin as well. With my current Sun True Origin that's comparable to the True Origin of a powerhouse at the peak of the Eminent Saint stage, I might even be able to kill a powerhouse at the peak of the Divine Saint stage with the help of the Jasper Celestial Sword. If I break through to the early Eminent Saint stage, the Sun True Origin will transform as well. At that time, I might even be able to kill a powerhouse at the early Exemplary Saint stage after exhausting all the Sun True Origin in my body. Naturally, the Jasper Celestial Sword was Duan Lingtian's biggest trump card. He would not use it unless he had no other choice. Moreover, if he used the Jasper Celestial Sword right from the beginning, it would hinder his cultivation. If he relied too much on the Jasper Celestial Sword, it would only harm his cultivation in the future. Due to this reason, he would not use the Jasper Celestial Sword unless it was absolutely necessary. Although I don't know where you get your confidence from, I still believe in you. In the next 10 months, if you need anything, just let me know. All the resources in the Azure Cloud Mansion will be available to you unconditionally. Duan Ruffing said to Duan Lingtian. In the end, he was influenced by Duan Lingtian's confidence and chose to believe in Duan Lingtian. Father, I don't need anything else. However, I'd like you to help me look for some materials. When Duan Lingtian found out his cheapskate father was the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, he had thought of asking his father to help him look for the materials he needed to repair the 4th level of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. With the Azure Cloud Mansion's influence in the lower province, it would be more efficient than the mystical Sky Mansion to look for the materials. What materials? Duan Ruffing asked. When Duan Ruffing took the blueprint from Duan Lingtian and saw the materials on it, he could not help but be stunned. Aren't these the materials that the mystical Sky Mansion has been searching for in recent years?
Yes.
Duan Lingtian nodded. I'm the one who asked the mansion master of Mystical Sky Mansion to help me look for these materials. You asked the mansion master of Mystical Sky Mansion to help you look for these materials? Duan Rufeng had a surprised expression on his face. As far as I know, Mansion Master Mengqing of Mystical Sky Mansion is very diligent in looking for these materials. Moreover, he even promised many rewards. You actually made him work so hard? Don't tell me he owes you a favor? You can say that. Duan Lingtian nodded. As far as I know, a monstrous genius appeared in the Mystical Sky Mansion a few years ago. His name is Ling Tian. Tianer, he. Don't tell me you're him? Duan Rufeng asked. If it was before, he would not have linked the Mystical Sky Mansion's genius, Ling Tian, to his son. This was because he had asked Elder Ku to go to the Mystical Sky Mansion before. Elder Ku had confirmed that Ling Tian did not disguise himself. Moreover, that Ling Tian's appearance was different from his son's. However, after witnessing his son's miraculous disguising technique, he had no choice but to link his son to Ling Tian again. That's right, it's me. Duan Lingtian nodded with a smile. Speaking of which, before I came to the Azure Cloud Mansion, I've been staying in the Mystical Sky Mansion. Oh right, father, if someone reports his identity and says he's the Mystical Sky Mansion's disciple, Guli, please ask someone to invite him to the main mansion. He's my friend in the Mystical Sky Mansion, and he's the only one who knows my true identity. When he mentioned the Mystical Sky Mansion, Duan Lingtian could not help but think of Guli previously. He had told Guli that once Guli was done dealing with the matters in the Mystical Sky Mansion, he would come to the Azure Cloud Mansion to look for him, and they would head to the Upper Province together. When he calculated the time, Guli should be here soon. Guli? The son of Guardian Gu Ci Yun of Mystical Sky Mansion, the strongest person on the Mystical Sky ranking? Duan Rufeng raised an eyebrow. It was obvious he had heard of this genius disciple in the Mystical Sky Mansion. That's him. Duan Lingtian nodded. Since you told him your true identity, it means he's a trustworthy person. Since he's your friend, he's naturally a friend of the Azure Cloud Mansion as well. Don't worry, as long as he comes, I'll personally entertain him, Duan Rufeng said. Also, I heard that the genius Li Feng who appeared in the Rising Sky Mansion's district is the senior brother of the Mystical Sky Mansion's genius disciple, Ling Tian. Duan Rufeng looked at Duan Lingtian again with a mischievous gleam in his eyes. If I'm not mistaken, that Li Feng is also your disguise, right? The surname Li happens to be your mother's surname. Feng happens to be one of the characters in my name. I don't think this is a coincidence, right? That's right. That Li Feng is also me. Duan Lingtian nodded. There was no need to hide this in front of his father. Haha. To think I was wondering when such a young genius appeared in the lower province. I even wanted to recruit him to the Azure Cloud Mansion. It didn't cross my mind that he's actually my son. Duan Ru Feng laughed loudly, and his laughter was filled with pride. He, Duan Rufeng, could not help but feel proud of his son for being so capable. All right, I'll order Elder Rong to arrange for his men to search for these materials. Even if I have to turn the entire lower province upside down, I'll try my best to gather these materials and pass them to you, Duan Rufeng said confidently as he looked at the drawing in his hand again. Father, you told me before that it's all thanks to me that you're able to become the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. What do you mean by that? Duan Lingtian suddenly recalled the words that Duan Rufeng had said to him a few days ago. If I'm not mistaken, the Devil Seal tablet in your hand should be something you obtained from the Swamp of Death in our hometown, right? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.